Welcome aboard to AM News. My name is Denisia Pomaiji. In our very first story, the legal team of Ken Ofori-Atta has confirmed that the former finance minister has been detained by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE over questions surrounding the status of his stay in the country. According to a statement released on the matter, Mr. Ofori-Atta is currently cooperating fully with ICE while his lawyers engage the authorities to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. The statement explained that Mr. Ofori-Atta has a pending petition for adjustment of status, a process under U.S. law that allows an individual to remain legally in the country beyond the validity of an initial visa. His legal team says this is a common immigration procedure and expects the matter to be resolved expeditiously. Now, the statement reads, the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE, as of yesterday, detained the former finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, regarding the status of his current stay in the United States. His U.S. legal team is in contact with ICE and expects the matter to be resolved expeditiously. Mr. Ofori-Atta has a pending petition for adjustment of status, which authorizes a person to stay in the U.S. legally past the period of validity of their visa. Under U.S. law, a change of status by this method is common. The public is therefore advised to take note that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, as a law-abiding person, is fully cooperating with ICE to have this issue resolved. And we'll be bringing you more updates as this particular story develops. Now, moving on. Minister for Education Haruna Iddrisu has tasked the newly inaugurated 14-member Integrated Governing Board of the Ghana Scholarships Authority to ensure that scholarships are awarded strictly on the basis of merit, need, and other special considerations. Ghana's scholarship sector has, over the years, been mired in controversy amid concerns that slots were often allocated to politically exposed persons and other undeserving individuals at the expense of needy but qualified applicants. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in Accra, Mr. Iddrisu urged members of the new board to rebuild public confidence by ensuring that qualified applicants are awarded scholarships in line with the Ghana Scholarships Authority Act. Fatal Bayaga has more in the following report.
Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu charged the 14-member board to ensure that public scholarships are awarded based on merit and financial need, as this principle was recently codified into law. For a long time, the system was plagued by corruption, nepotism, and political patronage, where individuals were often awarded based on political connections rather than deserving. This, the minister says, must end now.
I trust your judgment. In particular, that from today, scholarships in Ghana will reflect only 3 values: merit, need, and specific categories for purpose of national development. Nothing more. And be assured that I'm not one of those, together with my deputy, who will come knocking your door that you should award scholarship to our children. That is not acceptable. We won't do that. We simply would not do that. And Uncle Simon, Director General, one of the things you should do, anybody you award scholarship, let the public know. Publish it.
Chairman of the board, Samuel Gariba, says that there's the need to fund the authority to ensure that it operates effectively.
A scholarship scheme is absolutely no use if you cannot fund the scholarships you award. And there's nothing more disheartening to send students abroad, to the US, to the UK, to elsewhere. You can't pay their tuition. Tuitions are far in arrears. Worse still, you can't send them their stipend on which they will eat. The students studying in local universities, if they don't have food, they can come home and eat kenke or teaser or tupani.
The Education Minister, Haruna Iddrisu, has a response.
Currently, I'm told that the Scholarship Authority is in debt of about 834 million Ghana cedis. That's why I strongly was pushing for earmark funding for the Ghana Scholarship Authority. Unsuccessful as I was, I'm sure I'll be back to it some other day, but my argument strongly was that we should dedicate 2.5% of our petroleum royalty revenue to the development of human capital and dedicate it to the Scholarship Authority.
For the Education Ministry, this governing board will steer the affairs of the Scholarship Secretariat to ensure that deserving and needy individuals get the opportunity to benefit from the packages of the authority. For Joy News, Fatau Bayaga, Accra.
Now, commercial drivers in Kumasi are pushing back against demands to reduce transport fares despite the recent drop in fuel prices. While commuters hope the falling petroleum costs will lead to cheaper fares, drivers argue that the broader realities of transport operations make reductions unfeasible. They point to rising operational and service costs, including high spare parts prices, which continue to strain their finances. Drivers insist that lowering fares would significantly impact their income. Our reporter Irabna Akwe was at Tech Junction in Kumasi to speak with some of the drivers.
Fuel prices have dropped again this year, prompting calls from commuters for a reduction in transport fares. But here at Tech Junction, some drivers and workers say the cost of operating their vehicles remain high despite fuel price relief, and they believe the government should focus on other important things. Here's what they had to say.
It would have been good to reduce the fares, but we go for maintenance. Prices of spare parts remain the same. If that comes down, then we also reduce the fares. It will benefit us all. The fares should remain the same, but attention should be focused on this. I pay 5 cedis from Tech to Ejoso, but in the evening I pay 8 cedis. Those who don't want to charge a fixed amount will load short. That wastes a lot of money. This is what attention should be focused on to relieve us. Although the fuel price is down, spare parts prices remain the same. Yesterday, I bought a head at Magazine for 4,500 cedis instead of 3,500. If they reduce the fares and reduce the spare parts prices, that will help us all. The previous reductions didn't help us. When I buy 400 cedis of fuel for a day, the government takes 40 cedis. In a month, I'll give the government about 1,200. If they let us reduce fares again, it means they want to slap us in the face.
It's a time I'm about to them two away inside me task when I was anti case casuria. And I say, so 2 million are they going to pass.
What do you about to swear? I think I'm can you stay?
They knew they would add the 1 cedi levy. They should have maintained the previous fares, but you can't reduce fares and still take the levy. It means you're taking my pocket money.
Commercial drivers are holding firm on current fares despite falling fuel prices. The coming days will show if commuters will get any relief. For Joy News, Irabna Akwe, Kumasi.
Now, from fuel prices, let's talk about social protection. Calls for greater social support for widows and other vulnerable groups have intensified as many widows say the loss of a spouse comes with a struggle to provide basic needs for their families. Some embattled widows are pleading with government to extend regular financial assistance, insurance coverage and periodic relief items to help cushion them. The calls were made at an event by private contractor Emmanuel Abuaje to extend relief to more than 5,000 widows and vulnerable persons in Kumasi. Here's a report.
Many widows in the country struggle to provide the basic needs of their families when they lose their spouses. After death of spouse, old people like us could be getting at least some relief in form of consumables. It could come in form of what we are witnessing today, or maybe a social support system to provide funds for us every month. We need attention. Life is hard after death of our spouses. Many years of struggling, and my children are also sick and not working. I can only bank my hope on other people's benevolence. With smiles, about 5,000 widows and other vulnerable people received relief items as part of efforts to ease their burden during the festive season and the beginning of the year. Each beneficiary received a parcel containing a piece of cloth, a 5-kilogram bag of rice, cooking oil, tomato paste, and sardines. Kumasi-based private contractor Emmanuel Abuaji, popularly known as Abuaji Contractor, who championed the humanitarian exercise, indicated it's an annual initiative to give back to society. He says the intervention, which is in the 5th year, will support people facing economic hardships. We do this every year. We have already done it at Akosombo. The goal is to put smiles on the faces of men and women who are enduring widowhood and have to struggle to meet ends.
Normally, I feel so nanko mukuma na omo yenom tiasia na beto bibi amo motimi omo enya akoma kakra but enam bibi nti omu ni ho a yen so ye de kakra be ni say ebepepa omo ni misuo.
The initiative, which expands beyond Kumasi, supported about 1,000 beneficiaries in the Akosombo area in the eastern region in 2025. Commenting on the large turnout and enthusiasm among beneficiaries, Mr. Abuaji said it was clear indication of the level of need within society and a call for collective responsibility. The widows commended him for the gesture. For Joy News, my name is Clinton Yabwa.
Now, a group of professionals known as the Biyalsis Guritaba Social Club has organized a medical outreach in the Chiok community of Wiaga in the Bosa North District of the Upper East region. The initiative, which targeted residents who often could not afford medical care, saw 441 patients receive critical care and 71 individuals with surgical conditions booked for crucial operations. Here's a report by correspondent Albert Sorry.
The Biyalsis Guritaba Social Club began as a circle of friends who often met for socialization. The group's name is a humorous reference to a public perception at the time that its members were bad boys with little future. Biyalsis Guritaba translates bad boys in quotes who are there for each other. More than 20 years on, the club has grown to more than 50 professionals working in medicine, information technology, business, politics, and other fields, both within and outside Ghana. Its mission has also expanded from social engagement to community development, leveraging the members' diverse expertise to support underserved communities. The medical outreach was conducted in Chiok, a community in the Bosa North District, where 2 club members hail from. John Asana is the president of the Biyalsis Guritaba Social Club.
What we normally do is that we select a place, a deprived area where members come from. So today in Chiok, we are here because 2 of our members come from this community. So we have come to also give back to them in terms of support. Last year, actually, we didn't have a medical outreach, but we gave a donation to the pediatric ward of the regional hospital.
The medical outreach was supported by oil marketing company Goil PLC, Enswell Pharmacy, and other sponsors. Medical staff conducted assessments of the Chiok community members and provided essential care. Dr. Lawrence Kankpeying, a member of the club and physician who who attended to patients, revealed that the event addressed a range of medical conditions, including several surgical cases.
There were a number of medical conditions that we encountered, including some surgical conditions such as inguinal hernias, umbilical hernias, and then goiters, lumps and bumps, lipomas, dermoids, sebaceous cysts, and then some swellings along the spine. We operated on some today, and the rest we operated on in January 2026. In all these surgeries and medications we are given in this outreach is free.
Community members expressed appreciation to the Bialsis Gurutaba Social Club for the medical services.
The exercise is good. Well, it's helping us. Some of us we are there with our money to go to hospital. So this thing helps us to get medication. So it's good. It's very good. I've never seen such a gesture in my life before. From consultation to surgery, it's free. What can we say to Bialis Gutaba Social Club? All what we can say is thank you very much for the help.
Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Chiok, Bulsa North District.
And back here in Accra, former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dakwa Newman, is charging assemblies to insist designs for structures are disability-friendly before issuing building permits. She made the call during her annual celebration with persons with disabilities at the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. According to her, enforcing these laws is mandatory and crucial to ensuring the full integration of persons with disabilities into society. JoyNews' Mavis Kubu and Nancy Kumson's report. Read to you.
Minister for Gender, Dakwa Newman, graced the Ghana Society for Socially Disadvantaged for her annual meetup with persons with disabilities.
Just to spend time with them. But as I spent time with them, I realized they like to dance a lot. So it became more of a party where we can all dance, we all eat.
Which she said that most of the persons at the institution were fit enough to be in normal schools with little assistance and called for integration rather than isolation.
But the question is, they need some assistance. Who is going to provide it? There has to be ways that the government can also come in to ensure that even in classes, there are shadow teachers that can support those who need some extra help. There's no need why there should be a home just for persons with disability, especially when they can thrive in a normal society. When it comes to the law, the laws exist. People building, they know they are supposed to make their buildings accessible to persons with disability. But unfortunately, a lot of these buildings that are being built, even as of 2026, do not have bathrooms that are persons with disability friendly, or they do not have ramps that create an entry for persons with disability. Somebody in a wheelchair cannot climb a flight of stairs. We all know this. And so these are basics that we have to do to make persons with disability feel more like they are part of the society. The municipals, as they inspect these buildings and they provide them permits and they give them clearance, they need to ensure that the right thing has been done.
During the former minister's donation, she recognized the best students in various departments. The administrator of the institution also spoke about their skills development initiative.
Socially disadvantaged, you never go in vain or you never be useless, because we do monitoring, we do the social workers here, we do follow up. We make sure those people who comes here and learn the train very well, the churches that they belong to, they establish them. And then we also see to it that what they've learned here is being used of a good use, or is of beneficiary to them.
The overall best student in the fashion department, Victoria Mate, also shared how the institution changed her perception about her disability and gave her hope that disability isn't inability.
Because of my condition and my situation, some don't see this disability as soon as they see you as a disabled person, what comes to their mind is that you have no use, you are useless. But with this help and the school, we are getting a whole lot.
Well, it's now time for some business news. Ahanta Pele Samuel Kujubrace will bring you that after this breather.
Well, let's do some business update. And Ghana's economy is projected to have expanded by 5.7 plus or minus 0.5 percentage point in 2025. This will be higher than the International Monetary Fund forecast of 4.0% real gross domestic product growth and 4.3% by the World Bank. The following report has more.
According to IC Research, a leading market research firm, festivities-related spending in Q4 of 2025 boosted household and private sector consumption, supporting trades, manufacturing, transport, and information communication technology, while crops remain resilient. IC Research said it, however, expects construction growth to remain normalized below the double-digit expansion posted in the final quarter of 2024, although it sees prospects for recovery above the momentum in the third quarter of 2025. It continued that recovering household spending, driven by stable prices and a softer value-added tax regime in 2026, will support sales revenue and gross margin, highlighting effective distribution networks and efficient management of stock-keeping unit will retain customer base and structurally support top-line momentum. The report said the main investment thesis rests on capital growth than attractive income generation capacity. Ghana's overall real GDP grew by 5.5% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2025, easing from 7% last year. However, underlying activity remained firm, with non-oil growth at 6.8%.
Well, Ghana's oil production is set to record a boost in 2026 as Cosmos Energy, operator of the Jubilee field, has reported a successful drilling of a new well. This means that the new producer, well named J74, is expected to increase output by about 18.6%, one of the strongest short-term production jumps in recent years. It is expected that the financial impact may be softened by persistently low global oil prices. Dr. Yusuf Sulemana is a technical advisor at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition.
It's a great thing. What we need to do is just to work towards closely with our partners, understand each other, like what is currently happening, and I think it will continue. I believe it's going to continue the understanding between the ministry led by Dr. John Jinapo, and that close and seamless relationship with our upstream partners, Talo, ENI, that relationship is beginning to yield massive results, and that's what we are seeing. So I want to say that there are better times ahead with respect to our production portfolio, and if we can get our upstream right, that will be in a better position to support our revenue flows and even support our downstream in a way. We have always advocated for a linkage, a seamless linkage between the upstream and then the downstream, where these individual value streams can support each other, and that's what we're beginning to do. That's what we're beginning to realize at this moment in time. And I think we can always pat ourselves in the back and hope for better days ahead. But clearly, I think it's the beginning of the realization of the robust foundation that was laid in 2025. The enabling environment that was created in 2025 and still being maintained is what is bearing fruits in the pledge to drill more wells.
All right, let's wrap up with the commodities markets. All right, that's all in a business update. Back to you, Denisa.
Thank you, Ahatapele Samuel Kujubris. Please, for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Denisia Pomaeje. Enjoy the rest of the show, but up next is sports. Have a lovely day.
Well, let's get into the papers now, and I have with me Ghanaian Times, the Chronicle, the Insight, and the Daily Democrat. Now, on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, President Mahama renews vows to Ghanaians, promises ethical leadership at all levels. Massive push needed to stimulate domestic private investment, according to Asantene. And gridlock deepens to Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, North Industrial Area. At the back page, engage in constitution review process. NCCE urges Ghanaians and consolidate gains so far. Arise Ghana tells President. The Chronicle, you remember we did a story on, I think, was it Monday or so, where the Dombo family was throwing support for Dr. Brian Acheampong. Now, the Chronicle, banner headline, Dombo family speaks. We don't support Brian. Dr. Bawumia is our candidate. And that's out of a statement the Dombo family has put out, signed by two of the Dombo family members. And they say that their choice is Dr. Bawumia, based on proven record and vision for the party and the country. And they have not in any way thrown their support for Dr. Brian Acheampong. Get details on page 3 and 8 of the paper. Just a bit of what they say. They say our support for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been clear and deliberate, unquote. The family stated, warning that any attempt to suggest endorsement of another candidate amounted to a distortion of fact and a misrepresentation of its views. Now, the family, they said a lot of things just to buttress the point that their support is with Dr. Bawumia. Now, again, just on the front page again, SD Dombo's nephew declares support for Brian. So, one part, Dombo family clarifying that they don't support Brian. Another part, SD Dombo's nephew is declaring support for Brian. Printpark Glomef condemned assault on class media journalist, and 1 year in office, Mahama touts economic stabilization. There. On the inside, debunking Trump's SAEP, Venezuela's Bolivarian revolution still stands. Ghana's future under Mahama promising no challenges remain. Arise Ghana. And U.S. invasion of Venezuela not based on narco-terrorism, Gamal Nasser Adam says. That's from the Insight newspaper there. It says Minds Watch slams minority. Says its criticism of Bar Rock risks undermining Ghana's gold reforms. Daily Democrat. Arise Ghana endorses Mahama's 1 year performance. MPA chief addresses 77th New Year School and Conference at UG. Gold Board, World Gold Council explores strategic partnership on ASM formalization and traceability. All right. Joining me in studio now is Dr. Frederick Ntiamwa, lecturer, University of Ghana, and a member of the NDC's communications team. Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And Kwaku Kwarteng, he is also a member of the MPP's communications team and the executive director, of
Institute for Energy Policies and Research.
I was going to say an oil think tank.
Well, yeah, it is a think tank in the energy sector, so yes, you can call it an oil think tank.
All right, but Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my brother. How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, I mean, I hope your New Year is going great.
It is.
You've not set unrealistic targets or resolutions, or you have not set any?
I think all my targets are smart, so
that's good.
Yeah.
I don't set it. I've stopped setting.
You have?
I've stopped because I think subconsciously you resist it.
Oh, okay.
When you set targets for yourself, subconsciously you resist it. I don't know why, but I just left it so that we'll take it a day at a time.
Mine is a bit different anyway. When I say I'm going to achieve this at a certain point in time, I go every length to ensure I get it done. But sometimes you bypass it a little.
I think my inner body, my inner self is a resistance.
Doc, good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns.
Okay. And we're also joined on the phone lines by a lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta. He's a member of Ken Ofori-Atta's legal team and my very good friend, Frank Davis. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
Happy New Year to you. This is the first time we're speaking in 2025, 2026.
I wish you a prosperous and fulfilling one too.
All right. Let me start with you because we read a story yesterday that your client, Ken Ofori-Atta, is in ICE detention. What is it for and what's happening?
Good morning to your esteemed listeners and cherished viewers. Yes, as we speak, Ken has been detained or picked up. He's in the custody of U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, otherwise popularly known as ICE. Yes, it is a reason because he has a petition which is pending for an adjustment of his status to allow him to remain or continue to stay in the U.S. legally due to the fact that the extent of his visa to remain in the U.S. has lapsed. So, of course, if you are very competent with the U.S. immigration laws, these matters regarding an adjustment of status is common and resulting status in the U.S. So the petition has been pending and awaiting the resolution of the petition. That's what I have detained for that matter to be resolved and expeditiously dealt. So it is not a strange phenomenon. So he's presently in the custody of the IC.
So this is not a reaction to the extradition request by Ghana?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. It is not. You have to appreciate the essential difference between extradition proceedings and a petition for adjustment of status. The two are separate and distinct. So it is not in reaction to the that was filed by the government. So we will await the petition of I and move forward.
Per the statement we've seen, the lawyers in the US say they're doing everything to ensure that he is released. I mean, a bit.
Oh yes, of course. Our counterpart lawyers. Our counterpart lawyers in the US are working on the petition, and it should be resolved anytime soon. It's not something that is beyond the U.S. authorities to extend one period of stay in the U.S. if you are able to advance reasons why your visa stay or period should be extended.
What is informing this latest request to change the duration of stay in the U.S.?
You are public, of course. It's being in your knowledge, you in particular, that he's been there for medical procedure, and he's still undergoing treatment. Of course, in consultation with the medical team, he's been advised to remain and still continue with the recuperative stage of the procedure attended on him. And as it is customary, if you will have to remain in a jurisdiction above extended the limit of your visa stay, you obviously will have to apply to the authorities to consider a petition to that effect. Otherwise, your continuous stay in that jurisdiction would be illegal. And if it is illegal, you obviously can be repatriated in that country. So yes, it is related to his medical stay in the U.S.
A lot of Ghanaians get worried about his continuous absence from the country to aid the investigation that is going on. How different is this condition from the one he suffered when he was a finance minister, but returned to the country to continue his work as a minister?
I want to believe that matters of medical charges are most often and not private and rather confidential. So I don't want to discuss in detail the medical condition of Kenofriata. I don't have that permission. I am his lawyer. I am not a physician or medical consultant. I don't do those markets.
Okay.
I'll plead that we shall. Okay. I don't have his permission to speak to those markets.
So you're hopeful that his stay will be extended for him to continue staying in the U.S.?
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, in conjunction with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, are with him. The lawyers are also pursuing the petition. That is all I can say.
Okay, all right. So if anybody says it is because of the effort to bring him to Ghana, we should disregard those.
If anybody says what?
That it is because of the effort to extradite him to Ghana. That's why they have him now. We should disregard those ones. Is that the argument?
Well, anyone who makes that argument is able to substantiate. You can't make that argument. We, out of conduct, have come out with the publication. I mean, we could have kept quiet about it. But that publication came from us. I mean, that obviously should inform everyone that the sincerity of the process that is going on. We could have kept it to ourselves for other people to come up with it. But we have put it in the public domain. So that alone should let you know that it is not something which is clouded with huge secrecy. So anyone who would say or argue otherwise, that it is in furtherance of the extradition proceedings, that is why the ICE have detained or put him in their custody. That person should be able to educate all of us and substantiate the reason for that diverse opinion. So that's where we are.
Okay, and you didn't come out because people would have seen him and would have communicated that he was there. But you thought that you want to make Ghanaians aware of what's happening. That's why you came out with a statement.
Definitely. I mean, Kenofriata is a person of special interest now. So, I mean, what is it that he will be doing, or what is it that he could do there which will not come into the public domain? So, why? The matter is one of public concern. So we have put it and done what we should as lawyers.
Okay, because last year some people suggested that his visa will be expiring and therefore Ghana could take advantage and bring him to the country around that time. And we are seeing this and a statement from your team, and that's why we want a clarification. But we're grateful to you for giving us these clarifications, sir.
Thank you very much.
So I mean, have you heard from the team this morning? How are things going with him?
The name is Kodo, eh?
Yes, please, sir.
You will be the first to know.
I need what?
You will be the first to know when the situation changes or is resolved. Whichever way. You will be the first to know. So don't let us speculate.
Okay. Mr. Van Davis, I'm grateful to you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
He's lawyer, Ken Oforiatta's legal team. And this is on the back of the statement that came from Ken Oforiatta's lawyers that he's been detained at the ICE, and they are working on to get his stay extended in the U.S. Let me start with you, Dr. Ntemo. How is this coming? What do you make of this?
Kosho, good morning, and good morning to my big brother here.
How are you?
This is the first time I'm meeting him in studio.
Okay.
And I also want to use this opportunity to extend my New Year wishes to the President, who's the first gentleman of the land. He's proven disciplined, very focused, and he has persevered even in the midst of all the challenges and the issues that he inherited. And so I want to say Happy New Year to our President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and also our Vice President. She's also been very outstanding. Yes, we've not seen lectures being organized, but the economy is in shape. So I also extend my warmest Happy New Year to her. And all the people who are watching us this morning, Happy New Year. Especially whenever I get opportunity like this, I always say that the youth, like young people like myself and you and a few other people, or the whole Ghana as a whole, if you look at the kind of hope and trust that we invested in our president, we've really done well, because where the country is heading to, it means that we took a good decision. So all the youth of Ghana, I want to say Happy New Year to you. And back to your question.
Well, maybe before I come to you, let me join Manasseh Azure, an investigative journalist who's joining us via Zoom. Manasseh Azure has been following this particular story for a long time now. Manasseh, I'm grateful to you for joining. What do you also know about the detention of Ken Oforiatta in ICE?
Well, I don't know much except what is out there, and what I'm hearing is that this has more to do with his visa status than his the extradition request we've made. But either way, it is good news. I think I reported late last year that he had a visa to the US that would expire on the 14th of February. That is next month. And what is happening, I think authorities haven't given much details yet, and his lawyers haven't. But it is expected that certain categories of visas are such that you would get in and then you leave at a certain point. So I suspect that may be the reason the authorities are dealing with this matter in this way. But I think that if we're able to get him deported, that would even serve a bigger or a faster purpose than going through the extradition process, which can take forever. So in either way, I think this is good news. And if the authorities proceed to act on this, I see it as serving the interest of justice, as in the OSP having him around and then getting him to stand trial. That, in my view, would even be faster than the extradition process, which can take a very long time.
Well, his lawyers argue that he has a pending petition for adjustment of status, which authorizes a person to stay in the U.S. legally past the period of validity of their visas. Under U.S. law, a change of status by this method is common. And that's why they say they are doing everything to ensure that his stay is elongated.
Well, I'm not an immigration expert, but with the little some of us know traveling in and out of the U.S., you have an option to adjust your status, but when you apply, it is not an automatic acceptance of your application. You have to be subjected to the laws of the state, so that if you were within the remit of your visa, if you comply with the previous ones, and then you apply for adjustment of status, they may look at that based on the merit of your application. But if in this case, we are hearing that he should have left at a certain point, we don't know at what point he applied, but if it happens that he applied afterwards, there may be questions to answer because he may have overstayed. It is also possible that when you apply, you can be denied. So all of these, when I read the statement, it looks like, well, this is just a normal process that we are going through. But it doesn't lie within the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to decide how things go. I think the U.S. authorities have their laws. I remember that when this incident happened, when we made the request, I mentioned that if the U.S. authorities wanted to get Ken Ofori-Atta out at any point in time, they could do that, because in recent time we have heard and seen incidents when even some green card holders were refused entry back into the U.S. And I have read some of the stories, and some of the immigration officials, and some call them ministers. They are here they call them secretaries, stating that being allowed entry into the U.S. is a privilege and not a right. So even if he has applied and the U.S. authorities think that, no, we don't want you, they can still deny him, and once that denial is done, you can be deported.
Okay.
So from what I'm gathering, it may have more to do that. That is, if they proceed to act on this detention, it may be more in line with deportation, not extradition, which may even serve our interest. That's the interest of Ghanaians, those who want him back to face justice, because the extradition process, we are told, takes longer, but this route is likely to get him back to Ghana early, should the U.S. authorities proceed to act on this detention.
But if his visa expires in February, why will he be in detention in January? Today is January 8th, I think, yes.
Yes, there are these visas. I know people who get these visas, and when they come to the U.S., they are supposed to stay up to a certain number of months. I don't know exactly the kind of visa he has, but his visa is not like the visa of Ernest Akori. Ernest Akori has a permanent residency. He even holds a U.S. passport, so his is different. But Ken's visa, I suspect, may be one of those immigrant visas, likely the tourist ones. People have them. You can have up to 5 years, but the 5 years doesn't mean that when you get to the U.S. you stay for 5 years. Sometimes a specified number of months is given, that when you have that visa and you get into the U.S., you cannot stay beyond, let's say, 6 months. So when the 6 months is up and then your visa hasn't expired, you may have to go back home to your home country and then come back later. So all of these nuances should be considered, and not only about when the visa is expected to expire. So even if his visa was expected to expire in 2030, and then the visa regulations, the kind of visa he has, states that when you enter the US, you cannot stay beyond a certain number of months, then he can still be arrested and detained for visa irregularities, even though the ultimate expiration of the visa may yet or may be ahead. So all of these are things that we maybe have to take into consideration, and not just when the visa is expiring. But as we know, not much information is out yet, and we hope in the coming days, either through his lawyers, and maybe I suspect they may want to challenge some of these detentions in court or whatever, and through that we may get more information on the specific violation that may have gotten him in detention.
I'm grateful to you, Manasseh Azura-Wene, for joining us here. He is an investigative journalist, and he joined us from the US to give us more details on what's happening. Well, Doc.
Yes, so I was coming to your question. Well, as for me, I would say I'm happy. And I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians are also happy because, like Manasseh was saying, every Ghanaian who wants the country to move forward is expecting that he comes to face justice. Because the same person who was finance minister for 8 years, under whose watch?
Not 8 years. It was, I think, for 7 at most.
Oh, almost. I mean, that's
there's
small.
Yes,
so 7 years. Yeah. Let's say 7 years, under whose watch a lot of bad things went on. Contracts, SML. If we've seen about Cathedral, we've seen about a number of things. And that same person, that 90 MPs were protesting in his own party that he has to be reshuffled or he has to be changed.
I think that if you say a lot of things wrong, let's add allegedly, because they've not been proven.
Well,
so that
that's fine. So allegedly, I mean, wronged. And 90 out of the members that he had in his own party as MPs made issues and cases that he has to be changed. And he insisted, even at the point where we all knew, we know that sickness is like rain. It falls on anybody, and we all go through, one way or the other, challenges in our health issues. So it was normal, but it was obvious. If you watch him on screens and television, you are able to tell that, yes, he is not fit. And he still insisted that he will still be able to take us to Kenya. That same person, immediately after the change of government, he now sees that, no, his health needs are very important, so he rushed to US. Me, I'm happy on any day, and I'm praying so hard. You see, there's a passage in the Bible about Jonah. He's like the Jonah of our time.
That's of our time?
Yes. He's the Jonah of our time because now his burden has become so heavy to the point that things are now becoming very clear. Everywhere he goes, things will expose him. His visa, whether it's expiring or not, what I'm happy about this morning is the fact that he has been detained. And everybody is praying. If the cathedral was in shape and they didn't misuse our money, as has been alleged by OSP and other institutions, by now I'm sure we'll be in the cathedral praying for his return safely. So that he will come and answer simple questions. We need him to, come and answer things to make sure that at least we are clear in our minds. Because you can't run a country and at the same time, when there is time for accountability. I've said on a number of platforms that you see we are interested in democracy. But let me be honest with you. If it wasn't democracy, there are some people, and I choose my words very carefully, they wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to serve Ghana, not anywhere. But because of democracy, and we have to vote, and the people's wish, and sometimes appointment, some people, by virtue of democracy, they get the opportunity to serve our country. And once you know that you get the opportunity through democracy, there's also the other side of democracy, which is accountability. Why are they running from accountability? If you have not done anything wrong, your visa has expired, and you are applying for change of status. Meanwhile, Your motherland is here. We are waiting for you. We expect you to come. Nobody is saying that you are a criminal. Nobody is saying that you've done something that we're going to put you behind bars. But we are saying that per your actions, per the office that you were able to occupy for 7 years, there are a number of things that have been alleged to have gone wrong. Come and let us know that these are the papers, these are the documents. I did what is right. Even the president, at a point, the Airbus issue, he submitted himself willfully for investigation, which later they came to clear him. So come, submit yourself for investigation, face justice, and if you know that you are pure and clean, by the end of the whole issue, you also go scot-free. So I am happy, and I'm praying so hard. Maybe I'll start a fast today. Yes, I'll start a fast today and pray to God that whatever we have been hoping for there, Jonah, who needs to come and save us from all the rot we experienced in the past 8 years, answer questions about those rots that has been alleged, that Jonah, now he's so heavy in the ship of United States of America that now they want to throw him out. And so we are praying that they should carry him and put him into the sea, so that slowly, slowly, the river will bring him back to Ghana. That is my prayer this morning. Okay. And so I am happy, and it's a good news for every Ghanaian that somebody who wants to evade justice has gone somewhere, and slowly God, his own wisdom, is working things to make sure that he will come and face justice. This is a very good news for Ghana. And it's a new year. So you see, new year comes with new messages, refreshing.
So this is a
very nice. I mean, to start a year with such a message, I'm sure that most of us will work hard because already the country is on a good path. And so we are going to put in our all, praying and hoping that anybody who wants to evade justice, this new year coming with good wishes, will make sure that that person
but
faces justice.
Is he evading justice when he has not been pronounced guilty? These are only allegations that have been made. They've not been proven in court.
Yes.
In court. So can we say he is evading justice when no pronouncement has been made by a court of competent jurisdiction?
So what I want to say, Pedro, is that if we say somebody is evading justice, so justice is about presenting yourself and making sure that whatever has to be put right is put right. Okay. That is what we are talking about. So we want you to come. Let's put what is right. You see, we are all Christians. So normally I like to go with the mindset of what the Bible says. You can be a very good Christian, but you might not be just. Just in the sense that somebody is selling an item you know it should cost 20 cedis. And the person is so in damn need of money and says that I want 10 cedis. But for a just person who knows the true value of that item, will say that yes, you are asking for 10 cedis, but because I am just, I will give you 20 because I know it's worth that. That is what we are asking him to come and do. He knows that in our democracy, once you serve, you need to account. Simple as that. And that is the justice we are talking about. So accountability is what we are here for.
Okay. All right. Let me bring you in. I mean, I'm sure you also have some details. You've listened to his lawyer as well. Why doesn't he take advantage and come home and then he can go back at any point in time?
You see, when everybody speaks about Ken Ofori-Atta, they makes it look like Ken Ofori-Atta is in the U.S. for holidays. And it's painful when you hear individuals talk about somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's family member in that light. The man has not committed any crime. Ken Ofori-Atta served as a finance minister. Look, there are two instances where we talk like this. When somebody has committed murder and he killed his father, wife, friend, or family members and ran away, right? They are dead bodies that we see, and the person who is the person who did it has run away. And then we are saying that, these are the words we use for that person. right? He's basically evaded justice. We need to bring him back. My brother says he's going to do fasting and all those things. Then we have a situation where you would have your house where you have maybe your 2,000 cedis or 3,000 cedis sitting somewhere. You leave your maid or your house help at home. You go and come back and that money is not there. And the only person you left at home is that maid and the money is missing. And then what do? You now go to the police and the police is looking for that person to basically come and answer questions because there is money that was there that is no longer, and we will now say that that person who stole or allegedly stole the money has fled and we can't find him. When it comes to Ken Ofori-Atta, we have not had any such instance where everybody wants to make it look like Ken Ofori-Atta has committed a certain crime. And because of that, he has evaded justice. And it's very, very disheartening when you hear the words Manasseh Azuri was using, the words my brother here is using. Look, when it comes to the cathedral, the Attorney General of today went into court and said that the funding for the cathedral was lawful, consistent with the 1992 Constitution. It's on record. Yes. Yes. Which one? The Supreme Court. Yeah, this report is coming from the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has reportedly defended the use of State National Cathedral Project by Nanado. According to the report cited by City News, Dr. Ini, in a statement of case opposing the suit filed against the government in 2024, argued that the previous administration funding of the cathedral was lawful and consistent with the 1992 Constitution. It's in the news. It's published. Right? Where the Attorney General has stated in documents that there is nothing wrong with the funding that the Minister of Finance at the time funded the cathedral. Now, people talk about SML. SML, and is a case in court, right? Yes. All the suspects, all the alleged people who have been charged, they are not in prison. They are home. None of the people that have been charged to court are in prison. They are all at home. So when people make it look like Ken Ofori-Atta, when Ken Ofori-Atta comes to Ghana, he's not going to be in prison. He's going to be at home and will be going to court to defend himself. So I beg our brothers, let's stop this bashing of. It makes it look like we don't have much to say. And the only thing we want to say is Ken Ofori-Atta. Yes, if the man was fit and well, sipping pina colada in some beaches, then we say that, look, why is he there? But every indication means that the man is not well. Look, the issue of ICE immigration issues will take its course. Having a visa is a right, it's not a privilege. The U.S. will make a decision, or the Secretary of State will make a decision whether they want to extend his stay or basically refuse the petition he's made. But he's got enough documentation, medical documentation, to show that he has a need for specific medical treatment in the U.S.
But that's why some Ghanaians ask that when he was a minister during COVID time, when we all saw visibly that he wasn't well, he went and came back immediately.
Yes, but how do we know that the situation has not gotten worse? You are looking at somebody who's not well, yes, but the situation could have gotten worse. And look, like his lawyer said, we are not allowed to talk about his medical record. So let's leave it as that. But some of us are privy to certain information and situations where it was dire.
But if you were still a minister, would he?
Well, I don't want to get into that. Look, there are two different situations. What people want to do politics with is one thing. Is the man well or not well? And everybody agrees he's not well. Maybe his situation has gotten worse. But the point is, him being in Ghana, it's not like he's going to come to Ghana, he's going to be in Nsawam. Let's get that right. He has not killed anybody. He has not done drugs. He's not done anything that does not give him his freedom. He's only been charged, allegedly, to court. He will come, get bail, and go home and defend himself.
So what is it that people think that Ken Ofori-Attah's presence in Ghana, what is it? If he can, and he gave the opportunity for them to do whatever questions they want to ask through Zoom. They said no. Right? We want you in the country. Well, that's neither here nor there. He can come and sit in front of you and say nothing. That's the bit people don't get. His presence in your office, his presence in the OSP does not solve anything for the OSP because he has a right not to say anything.
But it also does not take anything away from him, Ken.
Well, that's fine, but my point is that it's either or. He wants to exercise, he has liberties he can exercise. His liberties is that he can decide to be in your office and say nothing. What difference does it make to you? If you have a case, go to court. When you arrest him and you read him his Miranda rights, what do you tell him? You don't have to say anything. Or something you say or later relied on may be used against you in a case in court. So you actually caution him that he does not have to say anything. That's his right. So if Ken Ofori-Attah today comes to Ghana, goes to the OSP, and sits there and say nothing, what good is it to you? What value does it add to your case? In fact, we've got cases where the defense, the prosecutor will go through his own submission and the defense will say that, court, I don't think the prosecutor has met the burden of proof, so I submit to a no case, right? And the judge, in some cases in Ghana, has ruled that the prosecutor has not met the burden of proof and discharged the accused. So he who accused must prove. All these things we are doing is a matter of court. What my brother is praying for, going to fast for, what is it? Why are you going to fast for somebody to be brought back to Ghana? Because what? Has he killed somebody?
But
we should stop this bashing. It's unhealthy for our country.
Isn't it in Ken Ofori-Attah's own interest to come and prove his innocence?
Prove what innocence? What does he have to prove? What has he done that he has to come and prove?
To help put the case to rest.
What does he have?
Just so his name rests.
No, my brother, what has he done that he has to come and prove?
We don't know what he's done.
Thank you.
But there are charges.
But let the person who charged prove his case. Because he goes to court, he doesn't have to say anything. After you have not met your burden of proof, the judge can dismiss that case. Ken Ofori-Attah cannot say a word. You, the OSP, can go to court. Spend 1 year, 2 years, 3 hours, 4 hours proving your case to the court. His lawyer can tell the judge that, my judge, this person's case has not met the burden of proof. And the judge will or will not agree. And dismiss, if he agrees, will dismiss the case against him. You see, I was saying something earlier and people should, let's make it. There are 2 instances where somebody has run away, right? There's 1 million cedis in the room. You were left, the only one left in the room, right? And when we all came back, that 1 million cedis is not there. We can't find you. There's 1 million cedis missing. So we need you to come and tell where that 1 million cedis is, because if you don't come and show that 1 million cedis, no, you are the one that have taken it. That is a different matter. 3 people are dead. You are the one in the house with the 3 people. In the morning, they are all dead. You are nowhere to be seen. We need you to come and tell everybody that you did not kill these 3 people and tell what happened. That is a different matter. That is when we use some of the words everybody is using against those people. Oh, come back and face justice. Come and explain yourself. In Ken Ofori-Attah's case, what has he done? He acted as a finance minister. There are files this thick at the Ministry of Finance. You can take them and read all the memos and look at his minutes and signatures on those files without his absence, with his absence. What do you need him for?
Okay.
You understand? Yeah, so my problem is that, look, he has his own issues he will deal with. But what hurts me is the language we use on TV and radio. Like my brother is sitting and saying he's going to fast. What are you going to fast for?
I'll do that.
Oh, please stop that.
I'll do that on any day.
Anyway, let me bring in Manasseh as well. He has an issue to respond. He wants to respond to. Manasseh, you want to make a point?
Say briefly that murder is not the only criminal issue in Ghana.
Concern financial loss to the state.
Then a certain president in his first term, that's President Mahama, said something very instructive, that corruption is like mass murder. And we shouldn't downplay issues of corruption. If anybody even wants to talk about political witch hunting or whatever, I entreat Mr. Poku to just look at the statement, the issue, the SML thing, the white paper, the president at the time, I'm talking of Ken Ofori-Atta's cousin, issued on the back of the KPMG report. We have paid billions to a company that didn't deserve it. President Akufo-Addo's own white paper said, in regards to one of the contracts, I'm just taking one, that's the external price verification, and then the external price verification and then transaction audit contracts, that the contract was redundant because the GRA had an inbuilt system that was already performing those functions, and we paid over 500 million Ghana cedis on that alone. Now, when I read the statement, the news, I'm told that Ken Ofori-Atta was diagnosed with MRI machine. In 2023, my father got very ill in the Upper East region. He went to the hospital and he was supposed to have an MRI scan. The whole of northern Ghana didn't have a single MRI machine. We're talking of 5 regions. It was so serious, we had to get him to Tamale, airlift him to Accra, and then we got an MRI machine at a private facility in airport. Then the doctors viewed it, he was supposed to have a surgery. What I'm saying, the doctors in Kolebu, the neurosurgeons, Dr. Wepeba, Dr. Abdallah, they are witnesses to this. For months, we couldn't get a date to do the surgery. Eventually, I had to go back, and even last, I think a little over a month ago, he was at the...
What are we listening to?
No. What I'm trying to say...
No, what point is he trying to make?
No,
what does that got to do with the
hold on, I'll give you time to...
No, but I want to get a point. What point
he's trying to make a point, so listen to him.
I'm driving at... Don't be in a rush.
I'm not in a rush, but what point are we driving at?
The point I'm driving at is the monies that went to SML and other transactions that are now being subject of investigation and prosecution could have been invested in our healthcare, so that the people in the regions who don't have the money to travel abroad to access MRI can also get healthcare.
But
no, the point I'm trying to make is this. There are people who are dying because our hospitals lack critical equipment.
Yeah, that's true.
Ghana is too poor to provide those equipment. No, those monies are diverted somewhere. So when people are asked to come and account for their stewardship, and this was someone who was in charge of our finances. And
won't your point be valid if the court then is proven in court that indeed those were wrong payments? That's where we can say those monies could have been used to buy those machines for hospitals, not so.
And the process of proving that is to get the people to court. They'll be cross-examined. They should come and account for their stewardship. And nobody is saying, I'm very happy that he said all those who have been charged are not in prison. So he should also come, go to court, go through the processes. So that we shouldn't just trivialize it and make it look like those demanding accountability are saying that he is guilty. No, there is a process that others have gone through, others are going through, and he should come and go through.
Okay.
So I don't want us to just trivialize it. He keeps insisting that he's not killed a person. But I'm just trying to explain that the cost of corruption
can kill some people.
Muhammad's words are to be interpreted in this way. And I'm just giving you an example. And I mentioned names of people who are witnesses to how individuals go to hospitals and they die. MRI is an essential machine for diagnosis. The whole of northern Ghana, not even a single one. So this is what people go through. And if the finance minister of the republic is involved in these transactions and he can get money, go to the US and access healthcare in the best of health facilities, it says something about our leadership. And we should demand accountability. Demanding accountability doesn't mean we are pronouncing him guilty. We are saying that come back and face the law. And if he says he's sick, are there no hospitals in Ghana? He should come and attend the very hospitals that he funded.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me land when my brother can come in. Look, let me say something. Kenneth Furata was not the head. Kenyatta was not the head of GRA. See, people keep getting this thing twisted. SML is to do with GRA, not the Ministry of Finance.
No, but doesn't GRA...
It has got nothing to do with Minister of Finance. You see...
But doesn't GRA work under the Ministry of Finance?
It's an agency. You are telling me that a school in Brahabebomi does something, the Minister of Education has to now be what? Ghana Education Service is there. Ghana Education Service does something, the Minister of Education is what? You see, it's a long stretch. I am happy for that case to go to court. Everybody in Ghana will see that there is nothing. A revenue assurance contract. And my brother is talking about misappropriation and corruption. How does anybody misappropriate a revenue assurance contract? You are receiving 10 cedis. If I help you receive 30 cedis, you give me a certain percentage. Then I help you receive 30 cedis out of the 10 cedis you are receiving. Then I take my commission and you want to say what?
No, but
that is basically what SML is. It's a revenue assurance contract.
Yeah, but a preliminary investigation to by I think is it KPMG?
Yes, but the KPMG did not find a wrongdoing. Let's not. Everybody has read that. There was no wrongdoing. You see, processes. There are two different things we are talking about.
Wasn't there in the report where there was some payment for work that was not done?
About that, GRA. That's not the Minister of Finance. That is GRA. If GRA does something, it's an agency under the Ministry of Finance. The minister has deputies, have directors. If GRA makes a payment for work not done, go after GRA, not the minister.
Are you saying the minister or the ministry didn't have anything to do with that?
It doesn't. I'm not. Look, bro, we are going to go to court.
Yes.
And everybody will realize that this thing is much ado about nothing. What I'm saying to you is that the minute we start stretching agencies to the minister, there's a problem. ECG has a lot of problems. We saw the issues that have come up with ECG, Ghana Water, all other agencies. We do not go after the minister. What I'm trying to explain to you is that when you have a revenue assurance contract signed by GRA, go after GRA. If the GRA people in the box, listen to this very well, and that's where for me I'm surprised. If you arrest the GRA heads and they stand in the box and their witness and their testimony, their witness statement and testimony is that, I didn't want to do this, but this is a document from the Minister of Finance instructing me to do X, Y, Z.
Okay.
Then in that case, you need to now go after the Minister of Finance because the people you've charged or accused are relying on specific instructions from who? From the minister.
Okay, so this is one of them. This is a letter dated 22nd June 2023. It says, this is from Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
And it's signed by the Commissioner General, Ghana Revenue Authority, Accra.
No, hold on. The Minister of Finance letter cannot be signed by...
No. It's signed by Ernest Akwari, Chef de Cabinet, and it's, I think, addressed to the Commissioner General.
Ghana but it's from where?
Ministry of Finance.
And signed by who?
Chef de Cabinet, Ernest Akwari.
What is his position? Is he the minister?
But okay,
no, is that the minister who signed it?
Hold on, listen.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, the Honorable Minister has determined that there is a need to monitor the production and shipment of oil and gold out of the country.
Yes.
To this end, he would like to expand the scope of the revenue assurance work being performed by SML to include upstream oil drilling by the oil production companies and gold mining companies. Yes. 3, the attached revised contract has been reviewed by the legal department of the Ministry of Finance. However, because the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, signed the original contract on behalf of the government of Ghana, there is a need for GRA to also review and opine on the expanded contract before signing.
Yes.
Kindly forward the new proposed contract to GRA's legal department for their review.
Thank you.
And input.
Yes. You know, that even was not done. You know that this was not done. The expansion was not done. As per the KPMG report, what they have been paid for was the work
because
they had
Manasseh
done.
And his team,
well, that's fine. It doesn't matter what Manasseh and his team did, but you can't go to court to accuse somebody for something that was not done. What I'm saying to you,
but on this, doesn't it come across to you that the minister had a huge role to play in the first contract?
No, but the ministry, hold on. What I'm trying to explain to you that the ministry, right, is headed by the minister. If you read, what does it say? It says that take it through a certain process. The minister has taken a decision. So when you take the file, everybody writes a memo. You see, what I'm trying to explain, I have worked within the sector, so I know. When a file goes to the minister for him to work on, the file is this thick. Every director, every department, everybody has worked on it, and they have done their memo. And the chief director signs, gives it to the minister. The minister now reads everything, then minutes on it. That is why when it's going back, it is not signed by the minister. It is signed by somebody who is a civil servant. So what the minister is doing, the minister is acting on behalf. He is an executive part of the government being put there to authorize. You see, are you going to charge Ken Ofori-Atta as his role as a finance minister or his role as Ken Ofori-Atta?
But are you saying that he just authorizes and will not be responsible to account for what he's doing?
Because when you, hold on, if you bring Ken Ofori-Atta, and that's what I'm saying, you don't need Ken Ofori-Atta. This letter, before this letter was written, if you go and take the file for the correspondence between GRA and the Ministry of Finance, it will be self-explanatory because there will be a lot of back and forth in terms of memos and letters that will now accumulate to the minister agreeing that this letter should be written. So you don't need Ken Ofori-Atta to come and explain why this letter was written. That's all I'm saying. People who have never worked in the ministry make all sort of, go to the ministry. This letter, before this letter was written, there would be about 3 or 4 or 5 correspondence, even within the memos within the ministry, before the minister would take the final decision. Yes, he takes the final decision. But what I'm saying is that if something went wrong, who are they asking to review the contract? Isn't the legal department of GRA? Who are going to be the executors of the project? It's the Ministry of Finance. So, listen, you might disagree with procedural, and bear in mind, there are 2 different governments. There's a government that did SML, there's a government that says they don't want to do SML. If you don't agree with processes, it doesn't make it wrong. Okay. We can go to Ghana versus the Adam.
So wrap up. Let
me wrap up. Abadapi, Adams, and what is it called? What's the other one that was Solomon, Victor Solomon? Miscutting. That miscutting case, but right, the first causing financial loss to the state case. When they went to court, and their defense was that they were instructed. The judge said that yes, you can be instructed, but you have to do your due diligence. So the chief director at that time, Adams, went to jail because of lack of due diligence. After that, now in any ministry, before a chief director will sign anything, he makes sure that he does his due diligence. So what I'm saying is that much ado about nothing. They can go to court, prosecute the director, the commissioner, all the people at GRA. Then in that court case, if you now get everybody in the case defending themselves, that media, I have a letter, this is the letter, tendered in evidence, explicit directive from Ken Ofori-Atta saying that do this,
right? And as per that action, there were losses and corruption. Then you bring in Ken Ofori-Atta. At this stage, what are you bringing him in for?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Kojo, I'm really, really disappointed. And I don't want to go with Mr.
Kojo Poku.
Yeah, Kojo Poku's reasoning in any way. Is he trying to say that as a finance minister who is supposed to supervise any financial transaction, because he's the final authorizer of, make this payment, do this, because he is the one who prepares budgets, he's the one who makes allocation, he's the one who does a number of things. Is he saying that the finance minister is not aware of whatever ministry that they are carrying out any activity regarding finances of the country? The taxpayers' money that has been collected by GRA put in charge of the finance minister to make sure that he disburses this amount per the budget he has prepared. Is he saying that the finance minister, anything that goes wrong with finances from a minister or from a chief director or anything, the finance minister sits and says that, well, I only prepared the budget, you are the one doing the work, so I have no say in it? Is he not the one supposed to make sure that whatever money he has given is used for the right thing?
No.
Or he's not supposed to do that?
That's why there's an auditor general.
No.
That's why
he's not supposed to do that, because if I give you 5,000...
He's not.
No,
that's not how government
If I give you 5,000 as a finance minister, or I disburse that amount to you, are you trying to tell me that under no circumstance should I look at what you have done with that money, because I've done?
The Auditor General does that.
No, the Auditor General
does that.
Are we saying?
I think there could be
are we saying that the finance ministry doesn't have an oversight responsibility anyway, anyhow, about monies he has given to ministries, and so he sits there and just say that I'm done?
I think that's the work of the Auditor General.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that we know that Auditor General, at the end of your statement, your financial year, your statement and everything, he's supposed to come and audit.
Yeah.
But in the course of your work, where does the Auditor General come in?
Internal auditors at the ministry. The internal auditors at the ministry.
Are they working under?
Yes, they are assigned. The Auditor General.
Are they not part of the
Auditor General
system?
The Auditor General.
From the Auditor General.
They are all from the Auditor General.
You see, what we are trying to what he's trying to say, well, we are all open to suggestions and welcoming views from education and other things. But what he's trying to say is that whatever the finance minister, any transaction that went under his administration, he's nowhere near any charge. He's not supposed to be called under any circumstance to, question or answering for anything. That is what he's saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
if I want to quote you from what you said.
Let me correct that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to you is that if the people who have committed, allegedly committed, if you take them to court and they are all relying on explicit instructions from the finance minister with a document, then bring him in to add him to the case. But initially, your case is with the people who have committed the crime.
Who releases the funds?
It has got nothing to do with the Ministry of Finance.
No. The first question I want to say, I don't know whether there is somebody aside the finance minister
who releases the funds.
Who has to release
Accountant General releases the funds.
No, but who gives the Accountant General the right to do that? Who gives the Accountant General the right to release funds?
The finance minister.
So if we are blaming and we want to ask who is the final authorization, it's the finance minister. And anyway, anyhow, if we go round, we'll still come back to him. Because at the end of the day, he's the person the president has put in charge and said that manage the economy. Make sure that the taxpayers' money, the little amount we have collected from the cocoa seller, from the market woman and everything, make sure you supervise how it is used and make sure that you channel it to the right places based on the needs and demands of those ministries. That is your work. And so if something goes wrong and we are saying that, oh, the finance minister hasn't done anything, and from the statement, it means that is how they run the country for the past 8 years.
That's how the country has always run.
No, that's how they run the country for the past 8 years. But we've seen a change.
Let me make a
We've seen a change.
Let him finish. I'll let you come in. Yeah.
I wasn't interjecting. You see, we've seen a change in this current administration. For 1 year, if you want to do assessment, you can clearly see that the country is on a path of recovery. That tells you that somebody is doing his work well, because there is a president who has conscientized the leaders he has selected that you account for every single thing that you take decision on.
Meanwhile, there was an administration that we have a member of the NPP seated here saying that the finance minister need not to answer any question to any Ghanaian anywhere.
I did not say
that. That is what he said. You see,
I did not say that. Please don't.
For him to use the analogy that if he comes, what is he coming to say? What is he coming to talk? He can come and sit and not do anything. Means that if we give them power on any day, they run the economy as how it is. And whenever we demand accountability, they can decide that they won't say anything. They will sit somewhere and tell you that, go to hell, I don't have anything to say. You gave me the opportunity. This is what they are telling Ghanaians. And I'm happy that people are watching and listening. And these are well-meaning Ghanaians who want the country to move forward. This is the stand of the NPP. This is what the NPP is saying, that whenever you give them power, after they have done with the administration, don't come and ask them questions, because they can come and sit there and not utter a single word.
That's not what the point.
He used the analogy.
Don't say that. No,
because I'm really sad.
Hold on.
Bro, and he asked me a question. He asked me a question.
I'll give you time.
He shouldn't put words in my mouth. If it's my uncle, if it's my father,
don't do that.
Will I be praying for him?
I did not say that.
This is a question about integrity. This is a question that, are you saying that if my father has done something wrong and they are asking him to come and explain himself, and he's not coming, and he's doing dodge, and people are praying, I should go and tell them that if it is your father, you will not be praying? This is what he's telling me. That Ghanaians who are all talking about accountability, everybody should keep quiet and say shh, because if it is somebody in our family, we will not complain. You see, the concept and the mindset that we have had for the past 8 years is very terrible. To the point that if your family member is doing even the wrong thing, or is allegedly have been accused of any wrongdoing, because it's your family member, just keep quiet, because he's part of your family. And you cannot say, because he's your friend, keep quiet. And this is what ran the country into a system whereby inflation was very high, at a point 50-something. By the time they left office, it was 23 point something. This is how they run the economy. And me, as a young man, I will say on any day that I'm happy that the US has detained him. And my prayer, I'll keep praying, because see, you don't need a lot of people to support whatever you are pushing for or whatever you are praying for. A lot of Ghanaians have been in hardship for 8 years. I'm using myself. The other day when I was on your show, we were talking about agric, and you said you are into agriculture and all that. Young graduate, I'd completed university, Legon, 2016. I worked for 1 year, not a single penny was paid. Anybody can phone in and testify to it. As a veterinary officer, trained for 6 years as a doctor. Yes, I'm telling you. From Lagos.
PhD or first degree, PhD.
No, I'm talking about doctor of veterinary medicine, 6 years as like human doctor. I graduated in 2016, worked for a whole year like the housemanship they do. Not a penny was given to me under the administration working for 2017. And you tell me that the finance minister is cool, he did a good job, the economy was fine. 1 year, how was I surviving? Meanwhile, he has assets, he has money, he can travel at any time.
Our teachers paid today.
You see?
No, our teachers paid today.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about giving a contract. We never got the money. I'm telling you. No, if you ask the question that our teachers paid today, the fact that your salary has delayed doesn't mean that you never get. We're never on any roll. I'm telling you, we're never on any payroll. Not even establishment was made for us. I'm telling you. See, when some of us, the good we have seen in this 1 year, we are talking about it. And we are happy that the country is moving in the right direction. And we are asking that people who manage our economy should come for accountability. Please, see, we like what we call political tolerance, but we should not take Ghanaians for granted. The fact that we tolerate divergent opinions and views, and we are seated here discussing as people, as Ghana, as one, we shouldn't take people for granted. Because some of us, in the past 8 years, we've been through hell. I'm telling you, 1 year.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Let's talk about President Mahama saying that he's laid a sustainable foundation for Ghana's progress. Could you?
Well, my brother, look, I honestly think that I thought we would...
I'll give you 2 minutes on this one.
That's fine. Well, I thought we would have spent a lot of time talking about the President Mahama's 1 year than my brother, all this thing about Kenofriata and all those things. You see, One of the things I don't like doing is that sometimes people make you sound like you are defending something, right? But I am just defending a principle, which for me, I think that's why I'm passionate when that thing comes up, because I think the fundamental principle of that whole concept is wrong, where there is clearly evidence of documentary in the ministries that somebody can go and look at, but we have fixated about one person, and look, time will tell, it will run its course, and we'll sit here, and look, posterity is pregnant in the womb of time. Look, let's look at President Mohammed's 1 year. I've heard that in his address yesterday or on the 7th at the Jubilee House, he said that he has laid foundation for a better Ghana to go forward. That's fine. Somebody says they laid a foundation, I can't argue with what he says. If somebody says I've put a seedling on the ground and I'm going to get a bumper harvest next year, I can't argue because I wasn't there when he did not see the seedling. And even if I saw the seedling, I don't know how that seedling would now manifest or come out a year from now. So we all would want to give him the benefit of doubt if he has said that he has put those benefits and those policies on the ground for a better year ahead. But one thing that I want Ghanaians to understand is that there are two parts of this country. There is economy, and there is always the part whereby we always have to look at what we do today, which will not probably show in 3-4 years, which is the economy of the country. Everybody keeps trying to make it look like we have done well 1 year, blah, blah, blah. Yes. If you take away two incidents that every time you leave someone to talk about the NDC, to talk about inflation and the dollar, take those two things out of the conversation and ask what else that person will say. We all don't know what that person says. I'm going to let and remind Ghanaians, and since my brother here is passionate about the youth, I want him to basically look at the NDC's own manifesto, right? NDC's own manifesto in page, let me get the pages right, so that everybody who read that manifesto, went to the polls and voted, will realize that not a lot has happened within the year, and claim that, look, in page 22 of the NDC manifesto, 2.1, it says 24-hour economy policy, same job, 3 shifts, 3 people. 133. I've sat on this platform and said that the Ghanaian youth has been done a 419. Because what was promised was that under the 24-hour economy, there will be same job, 3 shifts, 3 people.
Yesterday I spoke to...
I'll get there, hold on.
They said the legislature...
Let me, but they came out with a 24-hour economy document. Haven't you read it?
Yes.
On page 19 of the 24-hour economy document, this is what it reads. Page 19, first line of the page 19. While the name 24-hour economy may evoke images of shift work or nighttime operations, the program goes beyond that. In your manifesto, you told Ghanaians that there is going to be shift work, 8-hour jobs. This is what it says. It says, this is what the whole statement reads. It says, the 24-hour economy is a deliberate policy intervention by the incoming NDC administration to stimulate economic growth by creating the enabling environment for business and public institutions to operate 24/7 in 3 shifts of 8 hours. That is what is in the. That is what is in the.
Thank you very much.
Then
your time is up.
Let me just.
I'll give you 2 minutes. He has to take his, and then we can.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, Dr. Temo.
So Ghanaians can decide for themselves whether the manifesto and the policy is the same.
So I'm happy that my big brother was referring to inflation and the CD appreciation. I mean, that is the ultimate thing, because whatever we are doing, if inflation is on the high and our CD has become very volatile, we cannot achieve much as a country. We were here when Nanado was coming into power. He said he's bringing Dr. Baumia purposely because of dollar. And so if he says that we should take these two out, then why was the former vice president brought in as part of the government? It means that he come and do anything.
I never say if you take. I say take if you take.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say.
What else is there to say?
That's so what I'm trying to say is that somebody was brought in to come and manage these two purposely for 8 years, which he couldn't do. And somebody has come within a year, he has been able to do it. And if we are doing assessment and we say that, oh, when you take these two, so it means that there are other very important issues more than the inflation and the cedi appreciation to us as Ghanaians. And so that is what they were working on for the past 8 years. And so we thank them that they did a good job by making sure that the inflation was high, the cedi was, depreciating so badly that the economy crashed when they were focusing on what they see to be very important. Thank you on that. For the 24-hour economy, what I will say is that, you see, one thing there's nothing wrong with what he read. We said that we are coming to create an enabling environment. You need your foundation very strong. You need to make sure that you put measures in place. Make sure that lending rate is going down. Make sure that because businesses are going to borrow from banks and all that. Inflation has to come down. We have to make sure that our cedi is stabilized to the point that those who are going to do imports, they are going to be able to import at a rate that is good for them to start their business. Without foundation, we will not rush and open 24-hour economy like we did Agenda 1 million for one constituency, and at a point it crashed down.
Right.
What we want.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful. I'm told that our time is up. It's not me. Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer, today is your 50th birthday. Enjoy it to the maximum. The CEO at GIFEC, Tanko Rashid Computer. Have a great day. Happy birthday to you. There's more to come here on the AM Show.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is the AM Show, and we're continuing the conversation from the News Review. And joining me in studio is Kwaku Kwarteng. He's former Deputy Finance Minister and Member of Parliament for Obuasi West, Senior Member as well for the Ken in Japan camp, or that's what we like to say, the group that is facilitating and hoping that he becomes a flag bearer of the NPP. Honorable, how have you been? A Happy New Year.
The same to you. I've been well, and I'm happy to be here.
Right. Let's start from your former boss, who I know who's in, shall I say, custody. Yeah. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement in America. How does all of his roles come together? How does it come to you?
Well, I got hint of the news this morning that somehow he's had some issues with the U.S. immigration. I don't know the details, and I can only hope that whatever it is, they resolve the issues so he can come back home.
Okay, but generally, I mean, from the time that the OSP has been pursuing him and all of that, the Attorney General and all, in terms of corruption and corruption-related conversations around him, I mean, you work closely with him. Most of the allegations, are they true?
Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But I think what we are all looking to see is that he gets back to the jurisdiction, and then the law will take its course, and if he's innocent, he's pronounced innocent. If he's guilty, then the punishment could be applied. I do not think it is helpful to begin to suggest that he's guilty or innocent until he's gone through the process.
But are you surprised of most of the allegations at all? You know
these are allegations that were made even when we were in government, but that is not to suggest that those allegations are true. And for us, we just are looking to see how the law takes its course and what verdict we get eventually.
Okay, let's start with the Mahama administration. It's been a year already. How would you assess it?
Well, I think I should join the business community and maybe the consumer community as well in feeling happy about the confidence that we're beginning to see. I think we should commend government for the improved stability in the economy we have seen in the last 1 year. But I do have some concerns because it is not the first time we're having this kind of stability, but they have been short-lived. And I have reason to worry that this stability won't be durable. It won't be durable because we're yet to see the reforms, the expenditure and the revenue reforms that should undergird a proper and durable economic stability. I am yet to see those reforms, and therefore it looks very much like we have had in the past, a period of stability. The slightest shock comes, and then things just break down.
So, what do you think they're doing, whether it's stable or not? What do you think they're doing to at least get it to the point that it is now?
Oh, I think the government has been successful in reining in expenditure. By controlling expenditure, you get the economy stable. And I like the posture of the finance minister in signaling to the sectors that we're not going to be spending as you would want. And I say this because normally it is the sector ministers and ministries who push for these expenditures to happen. Because if you appointed a road minister, for instance, your job is to construct the roads. And so the pressures would come. I think the ability of the finance ministry to say, yes, you need to do your roads, but we need to live also within our means. And so this will happen, this will not happen, contributes to some stability. And I'm happy to see that in the last 1 year, expenditures have been kept under control. But hear me, it is only a matter of time before the pressures come. And unless we do the kind of reforms that would make expenditure control durable, we will get back to our old ways. And that is why I go back to the discussion, what are the reforms? What reforms should we do on both the expenditure and the revenue sides so that we can be sure that the stability we are seeing would last? As it stands now, I have little reason to hope that this stability will be durable. I guess pray that government is able to have the courage to do the reforms that are needed, the big items in our expenditure profile. The wage bill, what are the wage reforms? What are we doing to the public sector? What are we doing on the revenue side to raise more revenue and to ensure that tax compliance have been so ensured that it has not become a rush by the GRA on some occasions, and then once the officers relax, you see revenues going down again. The point I'm making is this, that stability would come only when they are supported by clear structural reforms on both the revenue and expenditure side. And unless we see those, I think we should be very cautious in hoping that the stability we are seeing will be durable.
You talk about the reforms, the big reforms or the big policies that this government is yet to implement, which you think would be one of those that can really shake the stability of the gains that they have made. But the end game, I'm not an economist, not a finance person. I only think about how it would give me some comfort in my pocket, put a meal on my plate and on my table to have. But if they're not doing this and the economy is looking good, is that the end game is to have the economy be better? Why are we concerned then?
But it's not the first time we've been here. And so the question is this going to be the kind of stability we have seen in the past under various governments? That is a concern. It's not that we of course, if things are good now, we should be happy, but we should be smart enough to ask whether our hopes
they say
are
that
grounded.
They inherited a very terrible economy. And so where the economy was and where they have gotten it to is quite monumental. It's not, of course, we've seen that when there's a new government, we have some gains. The new government gets some gains. The economy seems to stabilize and all of that. But they argue that the rate at which the economy had gone down and where they have taken it to is quite unprecedented. Do you agree?
I would not even debate that.
You know?
Whatever government wants to say that would make government feel good or that would suit their political purposes, that is okay.
But there's somebody watching who won't want to hear what government says to make them feel good. They want to hear it for somebody who was also part of an administration.
Well, I think people should feel good from how they feel, not what anybody says. The point I'm making is this. It's not so much about what government is saying and what kind of economy you inherited. We know the problems. We have traditionally known the problems. The question is, what strategies are in place to ensure that the difficulties we have had in the past will not be repeated going forward? That is the business of government. And as for government spokespeople throwing jabs at the opposing political parties, it is something we all do.
If I was a viewer today, I'll take it from a deputy finance minister that it's not true. Don't listen to what the spokesperson for this government is saying. They didn't inherit a bad economy. I will not leave the people to want to believe the jobs that you say that they.
You know what you do? I think what you're trying to do is, so this is an MPP man, and you want the headlines. That's
no.
If I can,
economics is not politics.
I know.
Economics is numbers. Economics is data. It cannot be politics. We'll get into the politics very soon.
That's okay.
We'll get. These are numbers that can't be debated.
I know.
I don't know economics.
But that is
that's what I'm asking you.
That is your business as a journalist, you know, to provoke discussions that are interesting, and your listeners want that. So I can understand.
I would provoke discussions that are informative.
Well, the figures are there. You know, what I don't want us to do, you see, we have a country to build, all right?
Exactly what we're doing.
And what we want to do is to see where we are now, whether the strategies are enough, what can be done to improve it so that the future will look better than the past, all right? That's why I am hesitating in getting into discussions about what was worse, and we've had too much of that, and I have lost appetite for these partisan discussions. So the point I'm making is, government is entitled to say that we have seen, for instance, inflation now is some 5.5. That is a good thing, and that is better than the inflation the government inherited. But it won't be the first time an administration has improved inflation that it inherited. So why should I just rest on that and be happy? So I want to look at how we have got here and see whether the improvements are supported by durable reforms. And the point I'm making, and I have made this point in Parliament already, that, look, unless we do the heavy lifting, see, the wage bill is one of the big items in our expenditure profile. If we want to control expenditure in the long term, in a durable way, we need to ask, what are the reforms there? In the 90s, we had the Ghana universal salary structure, all right? And the idea was to put all government workers on one salary structure, from the president to the lowest in the ministry. We failed. And then sometime in 2007, we said we want to revive that, and we call it a single spine salary structure. Again, we wanted to put everybody there. As we speak, a lot of the institutions that are claiming, whose workers are claiming that they are better off outside the single spine than where they are, than getting on the single spine, are refusing to get on the single spine. I want to see government strategy for ensuring that this happens. Every year, you would see that those outside the single spine, whose salaries are better, get higher wage increases. Those who have moved on to the single spine, whose salaries are less, they get the increments that are agreed at the tripartite committee. I'm saying that when you have a situation like this, you are never going to be able to rein in the wage bill as an expenditure items unless you do the heavy lifting there. And I am yet to see those reforms. That's the point I'm asking. And I think we should all join that discussion and encourage government. Yes, they have done well in keeping the economy stable, at least as we have seen. It could have been worse. So we are happy we're having this. But if we are learning from the past, then the lesson is that these periods of stability can be short-lived, and therefore we should move to interrogate what is beneath this. And if it is not enough, then we can urge government to do more in those areas. Then we can have a better economy going forward.
You've heard some of the policies that they say that they were going to implement in 24-hour economy. I mean, if you look at the budget and the budgetary allocations, it gives you a fair idea where government has decided to be spending. Whether they are going to even spend or not, we don't know. Because the narrative is that when government is not spending, you won't feel the impact on the economy.
Yes.
Most of the things they say they want to do, what you describe as the heavy lifting, which one of them do you think that if the government does not look at carefully, all these gains that they say that they have made will be at least in jeopardy? Which one of them? Well,
I think the 24-hour economy, it's not a policy that I think we should even spend time discussing, all right? Because I think it got into the NDC manifesto and the NDC campaign as some one-off message and then, or one-off campaign rhetoric. People lagged onto it. More questions were asked. And as usual, politics drove the insertion of that into the mainstream NDC campaign. And then once it's a political promise, you get into government and somehow you want to demonstrate that you are fulfilling your manifesto. Look, there is no such thing as a 24-hour economy. If you create the environment where the private sector wants to do business, and the private sector would be able to do business if there's demand for those services, the 24-hour economy would come naturally. This idea of spending money on what we call a 24-hour economy, and you are never able to get a clear explanation what exactly government is going to do, and we just keep running this 24-hour economy, 24-hour economy. I think we should stop that discussion and focus on the things, the infrastructure that will get businesses to run properly. The issues of credit to the private sector, that would really affect the expansion of the private sector. The stability of the economy, which I have already indicated would come when we do the proper reforms on both the revenue and expenditure sides. Let us focus on those things, get the environment right, and allow the private sector to decide whether they want to do business around the clock or whether they want to do business as and when demand.
The government in some sort of imposing.
Government's business is to create the environment. If we don't create that environment and we now latch on to some 24-hour economy, and what I find disturbing is that something that I think got into the mainstream campaign because somebody said something, the media lagged onto it, and then the politics has driven it to a point where we are now pretending that it is indeed a credible policy that would bring some change.
Is the 24-hour economy?
Yes, it's not a policy. I struggle to see what it is. When government says, I am going to provide you a 24-hour economy, what is it? Maybe you have a better understanding, you can explain. So far, the explanations have not been satisfactory because I do not think this was a policy that was thought through. I think it got into the NDC campaign as a rhetoric. The media lagged onto it. Government is now pretending that 24-hour economy can be some policy, and nobody is able to tell us clearly what it entails. Now I understand there's a bill. I'll be happy to see the bill, but to legislate what? That by force, businesses must do business in the night? What exactly are we going to legislate? Look, we should abandon this 24-hour economy immediately. There are serious things government has to do to stabilize the economy and to give this economy a future. Look, the global economy is becoming more competitive, is becoming more hostile for economies such as ours. And the things we need to do are big items, the reforms, the hard reforms we need to do, the political opposition you will face. If you want to do wage reforms, you're going to have to do a lot of discussions with labor. We must sit down to those serious things and do them and stop the rhetoric and the politics and the things that...
the global outlook is quite good, and that's what's one of the things that the current government is enjoying. That's globally. The previous government didn't enjoy this kind of outlook, and so if the government says that they're making gains, I see that you say you're concerned about sustainability.
Yes.
Of course, you're a politician. In fact, the economists say that they are also concerned about sustainability, how to sustain the gains. Do you foresee if the global outlook shakes a bit, how will it impact us as well? Do you foresee that?
Well, it's obvious. If we have the kind of shocks we have seen in the past under various governments visit us today, we won't survive. We won't survive because our economy is still very fragile. I'm not seeing the things we will do to make the economy resilient. Governments after governments have been very reluctant to do the reforms that are needed. And we do the politics, and we get out of government, we blame each other. And then as soon as the next shock comes, our economy collapses onto the ground. I think we should begin to have a serious discussion about the fundamental things we need to do to get this economy resilient. We're not there yet. I am not seeing those reforms yet. I think...
There's a VAT reform.
The VAT reform? Which VAT reforms? What government has done in the area of VAT, I think it's good. The previous arrangement where you have NHIL levy and the Get Fund levy being lines that businesses could not treat as bad input was not good for business. And so it's a good thing that government is trying to reorganize that area. And I think we should give them credit for it. But that is too little. I mean, if you want to do serious reforms of your
economy... They also increase the threshold from 200,000 to 750 for small businesses.
All those things are good, but I don't think you're appreciating the kind of reforms I'm calling for. When your wage bill is so big, your interest payments. See, in 2026, government intends to borrow about 90 billion Ghana cedis. That's the money they intend to borrow. Let's see how government intends to disburse that money. Of the 90 billion, government is looking to use about 64 billion to finance the 2026 budget deficit. That is to say, we are spending in excess of 64 billion over our revenues. So government is borrowing to fill that gap. And then government again is spending some 25 billion in retiring some of our debts. In the budget, it is called amortization. So some 25 billion is going into that. And then the rest, about 1.2 billion, we are putting into our savings, the sinking fund and the petroleum funds. Now, what that tells you is that this practice of borrowing from new lenders to pay off old lenders. So we live by borrowing, and then we always borrow from new lenders, and then we use it to pay off the old lenders. How could anybody build a credible economy this way? It is what we have been doing post-independence. I call it a Ponzi scheme, and it's a bit disappointing that we're not seeing a frontal effort by this administration to deal with that, because if you look at the 2025 figures and against the 2026 figures in this regard are worse. So are we going or coming? And
in terms of the amortization, the amount that they have put together or
it's not just amortization. The practice of borrowing from new people to pay off old people, overspending your means every year, then you borrow first to finance the overspenditures of this year, you borrow again to finance, to pay off those you borrowed from previously.
What should be the ideal practice?
We should be making surplus. If we, every year, if we are incurring a deficit, let's come to the household. If you are a household, you have income from all those who are working now, say mommy and daddy. Now, you are constantly overspending the means of the household. So you are together, and I'll land briefly on this point. You are together spending, say, earning income of, say, 100 cedis. Every year, the expenditures of the household is, say, 130 cedis. And so you go to a friend and you say, lend me money, I'll pay you next month. Now, you take that to finance the current month's expenditure, to finance the current year's gap. The next month, you do the same thing as a family. And then you go to a different friend. This time around, you must borrow much more, use a part to finance the current month's misbehavior, and then use a part to pay those you borrowed from the previous month. You go on like that, and then when it comes to a point where nobody is willing to lend you money, you run to the IMF for a bailout. All right? So the point I'm making is this. That family will need to sit down and say, maybe we need to change home. Maybe where we're living is too expensive, the rents are too much, so we need to go into a smaller home, perhaps in a less, if you like, prestigious environment, so we can live within our means. Maybe we need to change the school of the kids.
But is that not what the current government is doing? They say they are not spending.
But that is why I am saying that I want to see those reforms. When I say we need to change home, we need to maybe look at the weekend outings we do. When I call for those things, they are the reforms I'm calling for. I want to see the clear reforms that this administration is championing to deal with the fundamental weaknesses of the economy, a situation that has bedeviled our economy since independence. It is this kind of reform I'm not seeing that makes me feel that it is very much business as usual, and we are seeing some stability. Next year, next 2 years, look, we are getting out of the IMF program, and if you look at the debt restructuring we're able to do, very soon we will be paying back much more than we're doing now. What is going to happen when those things start happening? I think the fundamental point I'll leave this discussion with is that the reforms have been lacking, and I call on the president and this administration that it is another time being wasted when we hold the system and tweak it little by little as we're doing, do superficial things because we are afraid politically to do the heavy lifting and the reforms that are needed that will put this country on the path to prosperity. I am not seeing that yet, and until we see that, I would always praise government for the stability we are seeing today, but I'll always worry that it is going to be short-lived.
Looking back, before we even get into Kennedy Agyapong as your choice, looking back as a Deputy Finance Minister, what would you say you could have done or the government could have done differently?
I think the biggest mistake we made in government as MPP is spending without doing the necessary reforms that would have generated the revenue to meet the expenditures we want to do. See, we inherited an economy in 2017 that was already in an IMF program. What you do under those circumstances is to be very prudent and to move slowly, but we proceeded to deploy a whole lot of interventions that our revenues could not support. We're always going to get here. And I don't think, and I've said this point again and again, it was just COVID that broke the back of our economy. It was decades of economic management misbehavior, post-independence, we spending monies we do not have, and the NPP administration in 2017 coming on failed to address this. It is the reason when COVID came, some countries survived it better than we did because the fundamentals of the economy were quite weak. What I am saying is that this government must step up and say, this is where we draw the line. And that this kind of economic management misbehavior, that you can be living your life on borrowed money and hope that somehow Ghana will be a developed country, is a lie. And we should face this and have those frontal discussions and have the courage to do the political reforms that would give Ghana a real future. As things stand now, I am not hopeful. I see a lot of the wrong practices, expenditure, wastefulness. I don't see the steps.
Expenditure, wastefulness?
Oh, well,
in this
look, I can even say of Parliament, all right, that there are many expenditures that could be cut. Go and look at our travel budget. We're going on these trips and we're going on conferences when we haven't paid the electricity bill of Parliament. Is that how you run a country? So I'm saying that the culture of economic management misbehavior and over expenditures have not been addressed.
Do you see this government doing nearly same mistakes that the NPP think that it did?
I think this government is walking the path that previous governments have walked, including the first part of the first Mama administration. It is always, look, let us borrow to finance our expenditures this year. Let us borrow to pay back those we borrowed money from previously, and somehow when our time comes, we leave the scene. That is what I see, and that is why I'm saying that whilst we commend government for the stability we are seeing now, the fundamentals are still very weak, and I am not seeing those bold initiatives that government ought to deploy to give us a sense that we will not be here tomorrow.
Why did you choose Ken Ejapon?
I chose Ken Ejapon precisely for some of the reasons that I have stated. I have been in politics since my student days. I was in TESCON. I was Honorable Kojo Redu Special Assistant. I was government spokesperson on finance. I was a deputy minister in the first Nado administration. I have sat in Parliament as the finance committee chair. I now chair the budget committee. What saddens me is the lack of political courage to confront the problems we have as a country frontally. We have reduced politics almost to come get what you can get for yourself as an individual, and when you leave the scene, that's it. The country will take care of itself. And the biggest motivation in politics today, it's not so much to fix the system for the collective good. Our biggest motivation as politicians, all of us included, it's almost how you can line your own pocket and appropriate the resources of the state for your own purposes. Now, the reforms that are needed to fix the system, a system that I think must be disinfected, would require a certain character. And when I look at the political landscape, I do not see any politician who has the courage and gives me hope that we can confront this unhelpful status quo in any meaningful way, except Kennedy Ejapon. Look,
what has he done to give you this?
It is not what he has done. It is his character. We are sick and tired of the suit-wearing, impeccable English-speaking politicians who come here, deliver beautiful speeches at the United Nations, and they come home and deliver very sloppy leadership that continues to plunge the future of our youth into some disadvantage. And I think it is time we wake up to see that the political leadership we have provided Ghanaians has been suboptimal as politicians, and therefore I want to see real reforms happen. I want to see people who can disrupt the status quo. The status quo of borrowing, awarding contracts, taking kickbacks, and then you leave a country getting poorer and poorer. You have a teeming youth. The youth we're churning out of our universities. What work are they going to do? We need the kind of leadership that has the courage, and I dare say that has the madness to confront the status quo and to give this country a chance of a better future. It is the reason I'm supporting Kennedy Japan. He has his faults, all of us do, but there is a character in him that I think Ghana needs now until we get that kind of ruthless leadership that is willing to disrupt the unhelpful status quo that has sent a country like Ghana to an IMF 19 times. If you add the structural adjustment program and HIPC, 19 times. A proud country like Ghana, why?
Would have taken the one that's, would have taken out of the 19, would have minused the assurances from Ken Ofori-Atta, won't go to the IMF. Unfortunately, we have to add it to make it 19.
Well, yes. Yeah. Look, when we got into government as MPP in 2017, I remember the then President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was even uncomfortable with Ghana being an IMF program and hoped that we could get out of the IMF program immediately. And the ministry, those of us at the ministry, needed to convince the bigger government that you can't do that because the market would hit us back badly. All right, so our desire as NPP never to get into the IMF was genuine. The reason we failed, and along the line we needed to eat humble pie and go for an IMF program, is that we failed to do the reforms that were required to really place Ghana in a position like Botswana that would say we would never need the IMF. We failed to do those reforms. So at some point, you needed to eat humble pie and to say, we said we wouldn't do it, but we're going to do it. I know, I hear people say, yes, but COVID was hurtful. COVID was. But let's face it, like COVID itself, those whose immune system were strong survived it. Those that had weak immune systems were badly affected by COVID. Ghana already had underlying problems, and therefore COVID hit us that badly. So the point I'm making is this. I want to see the leadership that can provide something different from what we have been seeing. I want to see a leadership that has a greater sense of urgency. I want to see a no-nonsense leader that can confront the wrong things that have almost become acceptable in politics. And when I looked across the political landscape again, I don't see anybody that has sufficient character to do this, all right, than Honorable Kennedy Japan. It is a reason we are supporting him. We will support him. I'm confident he would win. And my prayer is that when he wins, God gives him the strength and the vision to disrupt the unhelpful things we've been doing to our country and to set this country on a path to prosperity.
One cannot take politics out of governance, regardless.
Yes.
The core is this very much. Are you not afraid that based on a person's character purely, you would want to entrust him with such a decision or with such a choice of leading the country where you have the option of somebody who's tried it before? They can admit what they didn't do well. I mean, of course, because even you were part of the previous government and you could see, you have experienced what was done wrong. Is that not an easy choice than to base your choice based on a person's character only?
Well, it's not just character, but let me answer the C. What you're saying, it is the comfortable way of going about things. And that is how we have treated the development of this country. We want to do the comfortable things. We want to have leaders, and if you're a leader, we want the one that is calm, the one that you can say anything to and he says, oh, it's okay. And that kind of fit the image. And they are afraid to confront issues They are very good with the English and the theories, and we have been doing that again and again, and this country is getting worse and worse and worse. Our unemployed youth are getting more and more. The industry is not growing, and we want to continue doing things the same old way of getting the comfortable things done. I want a disruptor. I want somebody who can disrupt, and Kennedy Agyapong is the hope. The hope in terms of standing a chance of disrupting the cultures, the subcultures in politics that continues to keep us back. That sends us to IMF, irrespective of which political party is in office. Sends us to IMF every now and then. I want a disruptor. And we have one in Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. I think Ghanaians must support him. Look, people like Kennedy Agyapong, they come once in a while in politics.
How do you say, sir?
When I say they come once in a while, you have your Kwame Nkrumah, for instance, all right, explodes on the scene. It wasn't that people were not fighting for independence. In fact, the lawyers and the big men of my tradition at the time also had strong feelings about getting his independence. Until Kwame Nkrumah exploded on the scene and said, look, I have seen what these guys have done in South Africa. If you allow them to take roots, it would cost a lot more bloodshed to get our independence. So we want the independence now. People like that have a character and a sense of agency to cause things to happen. And those people, when they explode on the scene, they always bring about change. Like Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, I am a fan of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and I can't wait to see that kind of leadership again, a leadership that has a sense of agency. You see, in Burkina Faso, we have a young man, Traoré, and he's now changing things because he's willing to confront the status quo. Margaret Thatcher did it for Britain from 1979 coming. Lee Kuan Yew did it for Singapore. We are sick and tired of the administrators, all right, who have no clear vision and passion to change things. They just want to get power and run around power and do the propaganda, borrow, give contracts, and we do that and we leave power.
Are you concerned about the role a political party will play in even governance, especially when the person, Kennedy Agyapong, you've said all the fine things about him, but are you concerned that regardless, if he becomes a flag bearer, the political party, the vision of the party as well, and what they would want for a country would also come to play?
Well, that is there, but look, a great leader has a way of bringing people along. The discussion we're having this morning, it's not the first time, this is not the first time we're having this kind of discussion as a country. There are a lot of people out there who are sick and tired of the kind of political leadership they've been getting. In the last election, as we went around campaigning, look at the voter turnout. The reason it was low was that people think this democracy is not delivering for us. We don't want to go and queue and vote for people who come and they don't confront our problems. Look, even the NDC that won, for instance, in the Volta region, the NDC presidential candidate got less votes in 2024 than he did in 2020. What should that tell you? That tells you that the population of Ghanaians who are beginning to lose confidence in the political elite and who think that this democracy is not delivering are getting more and more. And it is a reason, unlike in the early 90s, now Ghanaians say, well, if it is a soldier man who will fix this country, why not? I'm coming. I'm making the point that people are saying that because they are sick and tired of the kind of political leadership they are getting. What I am saying to you is that to stand a chance of disrupting that unhelpful status quo and giving Ghana a different direction, you would need a certain character. And at this point, for us in the NPP, I think it's Kennedy Agyapong who has that character. The party will rally around him. Look, when a leader articulates a clear vision and demonstrates that they have the character to prosecute that agenda, trust me, people will fall in line. It's not just the NPP as a party that will fall in line. Many Ghanaians that would see that this feels different, trust me, would follow him. And I believe that he also has the charisma to assist the party to win the next election in 2028. I think of all the candidates that have presented themselves, Kennedy Ejapon stands the chance of leading the party to victory in 2028 for two reasons. Not only is he an unconventional politician, a different kind of politician, he also has the strength of character that you would require for a party to have when you're going into an election that from Ablekuma North and Akwetia has the tendency to be violent. You need a character that the opposition would look at and say, look, it is in our collective interest that we do this thing peacefully, because this is a character that can match us, if you like, boot for boot. That is also there. But for me, it is even not just winning political power, all right, that makes me like Honorable Kennedy Ejapon. I have been in parliament with him, and I am telling you that that kind of character, you don't get them often in politics. Look, the kind of character that the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Lincoln Hughes, the Margaret Thatchers, the Traore's, they don't come every now and then. If in your generation you are lucky to have one, you grab him. I think Kennedy Ejapon is cast in that mode, and some of us would just love to see how a Kennedy Ejapon presidency would look like. Yes, the race is going very well. I think this election, MPP primaries, would produce an outcome that would surprise many, because I have seen many of my colleagues assume that a certain outcome is going to happen because of where we're coming from. We all voted for a candidate in 2024, and it is hard for people to believe that such a candidate could be upstaged.
What is he telling delegates, though?
We are telling delegates that we are sick and tired of the bad governance.
They believe it?
They do. Look, the things I'm saying this morning, you should hear me discuss that with delegates and tell them.
They feel the same?
They feel, but do you not feel the same? Do you like, look, Ghana at independence was on the same level with Singapore. Are you happy with where we are? And what has contributed to where we are? What has contributed to where we are is a kind of timid leadership that is interested in lining our own pockets, borrowing, awarding contracts, taking kickbacks. And then in the end, if I can finish on this important point, and then in the end, we just leave the scene, get into opposition, start blaming the government for things that we ourselves also did when we were in government, and hope that, oh, Ghanaians will just change us. That is what has happened. And people are beginning to walk away from voting because they think this kind of democracy is not delivering for them. We are telling the delegates that it is the MPP that can deliver this country, and for MPP to play that role, and shortly, for MPP to play that role, you will need a character that has the capacity to lead that. And the delegates are buying into it.
Okay.
And I think...
I don't know if it's just me.
Yes.
But this character, which you say they are tired of, timid characters,
yes,
right? I mean, the character that I will associate Kennedy with before he wanted to be president, before he said he wanted to be a candidate, was bold, fearless, and all of that. I don't know if it's just me, but I've seen a few clips of him during campaign currently, and he's a bit more sober. He's quite sober than before.
Well, of course...
Has anything changed about him?
Well, what has changed is that, you know, a strong character also has a tendency to have excesses, all right? And I think as a person grows, you begin to see which excesses you must cut off, all right? If Kennedy Ejapon is being seen to be more sober. He's cutting out the excesses. But look, he was in my constituency the day before yesterday, and the things he said reflected a character that is the Kennedy Japan we know. But I am happy that some of the excesses, confrontation, verbal confrontation with people, some of the ways he expressed even his anger, I am happy to see that he is trying to address that. But to be honest with you, I am not one of those who are advising Kennedy Japan that he should present a certain gentle look. The kind of character we need to deal with the rot we have been living with should not be a calm, gentle character. And so, when people advise him and they say, well, it might be for electoral reasons that Ghanaians have a way of seeing their leaders. So try and play that. Maybe that helps. I don't know. But for me,
people don't want to experiment. They're afraid to experiment.
Look,
for election,
when your country has been going to IMF every 3 years and a half,
what's there not to experiment anymore?
Why do you want to maintain it? You have to experiment. You need to do something different. And there's a saying in Akan that says, "Se usro awarijaya, unya awaripapada." Unless Ghanaians divorce this timid kind of leadership that is just interested in self-aggrandizement, a leadership that thinks that we are in this for ourselves. If Ghanaians don't want to divorce that leadership, we are never going to get a good spouse.
What's your greatest fear of the choice you've made?
I won't call it a fear, but my prayer, and those of us around Kennedy Japan, we sometimes have this discussion.
I've heard the prayer, I want the fear.
Well, no. But you must listen to my prayer before you say what I mean is when I say, well, my fear, if you like, is electing Kennedy Japan. I think he's going to win the primaries. I think he'll win the main election, and maybe the character, the fire that we want to see, we might not have as much. That is my fear. And therefore, we pray about that all the time. And that is why I get a bit uncomfortable when people start telling him that be more sober and be more gentle. Yes, cut out some of the excesses, but we need that fire. But again, if I have fear, in respect of a particular character, I think he can do the job. You can imagine, for the other characters, it won't, I know it won't happen.
You say that you're quite sure that this election
will win. I think Kennedy will win the primaries and he will win the main election.
Okay, so who are you hoping to pair with him? Because you're already so sure. So I like to think you're planning your life already towards 2028. Who are you pairing him with?
As his running mate.
Yeah.
Well, he will make that. No, he will make that decision and he will present it to the party for endorsement when the time.
He's not discussed a few.
No, he has. In fact, some of us have advised that people sometimes come to the campaign and they want to provide support and they want assurances of certain positions. And we're very clear that this is the kind of politics that this man is being presented to frustrate. This idea of politics all being about what you get and what position you get. And so let us prosecute the agenda. Let us finish. Let him win the primaries. Let him win the main election. When he wins after the primaries, the party, together with the candidate, would give us a running mate. And then after that, we will go and win the election, and he will look for people of like minds who can help him to fix this broken system. And that is our hope.
Is this campaign causing any kind of rifts in the party at all?
Well, competitions always have a way of creating differences, and you might hear things that are unpleasant from various people. So we are having a few of that in this primaries. But NPP, we are capable of rallying again. Once we elect a leader, whoever that leader would be, I think he will be Kennedy Japan. I think the NPP is capable of burying the past, rallying behind that person, especially if he has a strong message it is very easy to rally around him. But look, let me say this. When Kennedy Japan wins the primaries, the kind of campaign we're going to launch, the kind of hope we will give to the population that this is a different kind of politics. This is different kind of, it's a different kind of a political project we are bringing. All of you cannot help but admire the project because you see, buried in each of us, whether you are NPP, you are NDC, is the desire to see a better country. And we are resigned to sometimes treating politics as some kind of hearts and protocol. You just support them.
Which one are you, by the way?
I'll come to that. Obuasi Sporting Club.
Ah.
But the point I'm making is this, that whether NPP or NDC, there is something in all of us that want to see change. The reason we have resigned ourselves to this partisan, I support this and that's where I am, is because all politicians have proven to be the same. They come, they talk, they mess things up, they go into opposition saying, that is what we have been. So people just think that that is what we can have. As soon as people begin to see that there is a new project on the table, trust me, people will rally. We would win this election as NPP. And when we do, we will fix this country.
All right. Thank you. There will be no more questions for you.
Thank you. Thank you. We urge all of you to support this project. It's a project for Ghana. I know you don't want to be partisan, but reflect on the conversation we have had. We can never go on like this. It is time we change course, and this man would lead that change.
Well, Kwaku Kwarteng, he is former Deputy Finance Minister, member of the Ken Japan team, and he's also a member of Parliament for Obuasi West. I know that you say there are a few bills that have been introduced to Parliament you'd love to see. When they do, we'll have a conversation on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one today.
Much.
Please stay. There's more on the show. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. This is the AM show, and on Accra's Akraman Ashalaja Amasaman route, drivers like Stephen Kumi wake up every day chasing a simple dream to earn an honest living. Instead, they are forced to battle deep potholes and frequent breakdowns. Kumi's work and pay vehicle is slowly falling apart, and he's not alone in this. Drivers and residents who ply this route say the poor road network is turning daily travel into a nightmare. In the first episode of our feature series, Roads to Peril, my colleague Pelopori focuses on the poor road network in some communities in the Amasaman constituency and the challenges drivers and residents face using them. We shall go into that shortly, but my colleague has joined me in studio to give us a personal experience when she started following the story. Pearl, I know you feel quite poorly. How are you this morning? You're better?
Yes, I'm better, I guess. Okay. I've been on the road for a number of days, so I'm still recovering.
Okay. I can understand. When you want to get the story to the latter, when you want to get to the details of it.
But it's good I experienced it.
You did, huh?
Yes, it's good I experienced it, so I can now appreciate what people over there go through on a daily basis. I'm referring to the areas I visited. They have to grapple with the dust. The road is uneven. They have to wear nose masks. Well, I went there without nose masks, so I came back with the cold body pains. I was just asking myself, oh, really? I'm fortunate, you know, to live in an area where the roads are fairly good.
How bad is this? I mean, you know, we live in a country and a bad road is almost just normal. You just want to get through it, get home, go to work and camp. But in this particular constituency that you focused on, how bad are the roads?
Okay. The first thing, most of the roads have not been tarred. Yes. So
So you have shop businesses over there that have to cover their goods with plastics, with a polythene to make them sellable, right? You have roads that are uneven, vehicles breaking down almost on every stretch that we visited. Myself in the vehicle that I sat, which we'll watch later, I was shaking, I was shouting, hey! I was asking the driver, hey, the man would say, this is a pothole. I said, really? So it was really, it wasn't a good experience for me, as much as it wasn't for the drivers as well. The drivers tell me that it's a painful experience to ply that road every day. When you get to the Amasaman 3 junction, that place is fairly okay, but as you go to Akraman, Ashalaja, Doblogono, oh my goodness. We couldn't capture everything, but of course, when we watch it to give you an idea of what the people over there go through.
Did they tell you how long they've been living with this?
Well, for the driver, in whose vehicle I sat, he said he's been driving there for the past 10 years. And I spoke to the former assemblyman for Kushibiade, who told me that since inception, the road has always been like that. In his words, from birth, this is how the road has been.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you have us watch it.
Okay.
It's dusty, uneven, and almost impassable. This is the Amasaman constituency, where large stretches of road remain untarred and have been in this state for years. I meet Stephen Kumi, a driver who has plied this route for a decade, and he says every trip is a painful experience. The 50-year-old native of Asaman Kese once hoped to become a teacher, but a lack of funds forced him to abandon school. He later trained as a mechanic before eventually becoming a driver. While he loves his job, the condition of the roads has turned every trip into a struggle.
Since from inception, this road has not seen a major transformation or something. It's very, very bad. In the election time, they will come and grade for us. Yes. After that, nobody will come here again. They will pack their tools after election. It's unfortunate. We are pleading with government and our MP, Mr. Senyo, come and look this road for us. From Amasaman to Obom, Amasaman has so many villages. So many villages. This place
Kumi is not alone. Drivers here share similar experiences.
The human cancer, me a local secretary. Na ekwan we ya bon ya demonstrations sa ya demo ya bre. It is here. You see no ya do say because say edu campaign te no maba. Ma dada ya na ya di omochi. Is if I am wadwin. See the kwana say kura. Hwe ka vura mi kura hwe. Asenya mo nyina say. Ampa asenya mo nyina say. Is me dua bia fa manye sika akoto. Pastor no. It is here. The kwan de to frank. Kwan de ya say say cars ebi wo kura shop. Uko kura anima kura won se kan ebi si o. I say it's a kwan so.
We drive through Amasaman 3 Junction, Ashalaja, Ayikai Doblo, Akraman, and Doblogono. The vehicle wobbles constantly as we ply the uneven terrain. It takes a great deal of patience and skill to maneuver through this corridor. Vehicle breakdowns are a common sight in these communities. Drivers say more than a dozen break down every week.
Melodufre Amasamai to Akraman. Mr. Shah said in Deka Nam Kwan is 1 week from Menya. In fact, Manu who crossed him in Nam Kwan also. Madame Sonam Hunam Yina Raya Nanserian Mabitua Kwans, Mabitua Nukrano. Still none in Satonocasa saying, in Sukasa Tokra, the Cradi, and Yakra. Namansu attack kwanos none will be dear can be grand jabos and share with jabos and mamma jabos and crassay. In fact, we the best in Penfona, Umuya no mamma buena, Quano Muya Quano Mai. ye ban kwa school for no mu complain kura say kwan nye ombe faka ombe kofi no na huna mu nyina yo mu ya ombe ko base dam no dam yanza no na omabre.
Former Assembly member for Okushi-Biade, Daniel Kwabna Ampon, says all efforts to draw attention to the deplorable state of the roads during his tenure failed to yield any results.
I've done most of the demonstrations in this place, call people, goes to major institutions to make sure this road will be constructed, but yet still I think they don't care, they don't mind. But I hope the government has changed, so we're really championing that the government will look back.
With sections of the Amasaman portion of the Accra-Kumasi Highway still incomplete, heavy-duty trucks diverting through the communities have worsened the situation.
Ahaya Dobrogono. Na Dobrogono no ye kwan we me ba kwan we so 2004. Na ente kwan ente sei. Ba beduru ba bi kwan no ye hwe kwan se de kwan se tia. Ananti ho aka ho asem a omufie. Titem bia every present day ye ko shop se me no ka se kura na a omu ye me interview me no ka se. Me fi shop na be. Makwa boso kan aba beduru ha. Akose almost 3000 me nsem. Enso se na ade be chi no me san ko shop bio. Tem bia ko fe lie I stand ho a inipa ko hu ntokwa a owre kura be ho. Adenti.
Like drivers, traders are also feeling the brunt of the poor road conditions. Ifwa Santoa, a petty trader, explains that accessing reliable transport for her goods is a constant struggle. About 100 meters from the Ashalaja Bridge, I meet Janet Inkum. On her own initiative, she fills deep potholes with sand, offering a temporary relief to drivers, commuters and residents who use the stretch every day.
Obia support me da. Me to be renting house mu. Say be drivers ya. Ebi obi twemu 1 cedi. Obi twemu 5 cedis. Obi ono twemu no hwe eduma na meye no na eye ne fa. Ebi ono ama 20 cedis. Eno ana me boaboa no kakra ama pebi aso.
Before leaving, I asked Janet if I could help with the work. Of course, without taking a peswa. Gawa's Municipal Chief Executive John Desmond Soanai admits that the state of roads in many communities is a cause for concern, but assures residents that measures are being put in place to address the problem.
West, as a municipality, we also making efforts to reshape some of the roads by using the drip equipment. But reshaping is not a solution, because when you reshape the road and it rains, it becomes worse. And the more you reshape, it means that you are taking off the surface soil and it's going down. And when you reshape, it makes it easier for the surface to be eroded. But for the networks that we've talked about, the road network we talk about, if these roads are considered, because these are major roads, and this connect to other municipalities. So therefore, it makes Accra central and easily commutable. It means that we are diverting traffic if you want to go to Kumasi. So this is not just for farming purposes, it's also a measure to urbanize the other areas to ease the pressure on Accra.
Back in the communities, drivers like Stephen Kumi say their request is simple.
It's a manhole, madam.
This is a manhole.
It's a manhole.
Decent roads that reduce breakdowns and restore dignity to daily travel. For JoyNews, I am Pearl Ofori.
Now, Pearl is still with me here. Pearl, you have done the story, you have lived it, you have taken some out, you have tried to shape it in a way that would tell the real story. But watching it now, how do you feel again?
I'm just looking and I'm just saying, oh, people really live here. Yes, people really live here. And the woman we just, Janet Income, the resident who's decided on her own to buy, you know, trips of sand and then fill the potholes, or should I say manholes. I asked her, why are you doing this? And she said, oh, Madam, I think it's my calling. I was a businesswoman. I lost my husband. And I decided that, okay, God told me to do this. She said she had a dream that she was holding a shovel. She woke up, and then the shovel was in her room. I said, really? She said, yes.
Okay.
Yes. She said, yes.
Made me a friend.
And she said she's never, you know, she's never had peace. She feels fulfilled doing this. I said, don't you get tired? She said, Madam, this is what I've been called to do. I'm not a crazy woman. I just love to do this. Every day I'm here, and I'm told that she has workers who assist her in doing that work. And like you just heard her, she, you know, it's just the help she gets from the drivers, residents who ply the route, and she also adds her own money and then buys the trips. So I think one day you should speak to her.
I definitely will. You have just found me a fine friend for 2026.
Yeah. She's called Obey. You know why she's called Obey?
Obey. When you
she had to obey God.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yes. Madam
I definitely will follow this story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But what part of the story didn't make it to this video?
Well,
Can you tell me about the hospital?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about the hospital. So the Amasaman District Hospital serves the entire area. Because of the bad nature of the roads, it makes access to healthcare very difficult. So when women are pregnant, children are sick, it should take you a few minutes to get there. Like you heard the driver say, it should take you about 5 or 10 minutes to get to the Amasaman District Hospital. But because the roads are that bad, it'll take you probably 45, 50 minutes. So by the time you get there, the unfortunate has happened.
My goodness. Okay, the full...
I also want to say, when I spoke to the driver, I spoke to him about, you know, what's happening in the economy, which of course I didn't capture. He said he knows about the Big Push initiative. That I didn't capture in the report because we're working with time. But he said, Madam, I know about the Big Push initiative. Mahama, our MP, please let this area also be part of the Big Push initiative. So a lot of them are asking, when will relief come?
But again, what the woman is doing is temporary, it's not permanent.
Yes.
But has the MC or anybody in authority seen her at all? Because at least they can augment it, they can do something about it. Have they?
From what she told me, they have. Well, I didn't ask the MC that,
okay.
So yes.
Okay, okay. What would you want the story? What's the end goal for the story?
Well, the end goal for the story is that we know that, of course, government is touting the Big Push initiative. There are areas probably that they might not have heard of that would want to capture, so that at least residents in this area can just travel with ease. So at the end of the day, when we are done with all these reports, we want government to go to these communities, construct the roads for them. You know, when roads are good, when roads are bad, it impacts on price. Like you heard the woman say there, transport fares have skyrocketed. She has to pass on that cost to customers who come there to buy. So we are hoping that when we are done with all these roads of peril, with Joy FM, the multimedia group, we're just not going to do the story. We want to see results. So we'll be following up. Yes, yeah. we want to see results. So we'll be going up to follow up and then find out if government, you know, has gone there to bring some sort of relief to. We know that they can't capture all those areas, but I think they can do a lot more for these people.
Well, thank you so much, Pearl. This road is important because I just have a 1 week new nephew, new auntie who happens to live in that area.
Oh, really?
It's important that this road is fixed so that
Yes.
I can be able to go and hug him every day.
Okay.
So.
And for people, for our viewers and our listeners, they can watch the whole episode, you know, on... It airs every Thursday and also on all our social media platforms.
Okay. And so this is one of the many
This is one of the
episodes that
many,
we
yes.
shall be,
Yes, it's going to run for a long time.
Pearl, thank you. That was your tough work done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're nearly wrapping the show, but I wouldn't do that until I say happy birthday to Rashid Tanka Computer. Alaji, happy birthday to you, but a personal one as well to Ivan Edwoji Tete. You're indeed God's gift and a winner. As you turn 3 today, continue to have victory over all that comes against you as you grow. And we pray that the Lord blesses you on every side. Mom and Dad love you. Happy birthday to you, Edwoji. Well, this is how we wrap the show. I am MFA Akosia Adeti. Have a good one. Joy News Desk is up next.